Turn my mic on to be a good start. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome along to the watch along that we're going to be doing this afternoon, watching the final quarter-final game of the Heineken Champions Cup between Clermont Auvergne and Toulouse. Set to be a mouth-watering clash with interesting lineups all across the field. Talking about interesting lineups, it's not just me that's going to be chewing your ear off about this game this afternoon. I have brought on a very good friend of mine. So I'm going to bring him in now. Brought in Brandon from Brandon Smith Rugby, and here he is now. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, really good. Looking forward to this one. Hopefully it's a bit of a better game than the last one. Last one was very boring all the way up until Jalibert's amazing kick. But thank you for having me on the channel. My debut on the channel. Really looking forward to this.
No, really good to have you on, buddy. And like we said, we've just done a game over on Brandon's channel. So if you haven't already, pop back over and make sure you give him a like and a subscribe over there. He's doing great stuff every weekend, so make sure you get over there. But we're ready for this mouth-watering clash today. We're going to see two of the best sides that France have to offer at the minute, littered with stars from top to bottom. And with that being said, we're going to have a little look at the teams. So we'll start with the home side in Clermont Auvergne. I'm going to do my best because I give Brandon some stick in the last game. So I'm going to do my best with this one. So starting with the fullback, we've got Matsushima, fantastic Japanese talent, and he really showed his class in the last game against Wasps. On the wings, we've got Alvaretti Raka and Damien Penno, with George Moala and Wesley Fofana making up the centre partnerships. Captain Camille Lopez at 10 with Morgan Parra coming back into the side. Then looking at the front row, we've got Ravai, Adrian Pelanisi and Ojovan. In the second row, an interesting move. Paseli Yato moves from the back row into the second row with Sebastian Vahamahina. And the back row is made up of Can Corrier, Fisher and Fritz Lee, a fantastic ball-carrying threat. And then leaving down on the bench, Foucaud, Bibi Bizwu, what a great name, Rabaslimani, Jezirak, Lane, Ituria, Bezi, and Tim Nanai Williams. So a fantastic lineup there. Looking at the Toulouse team, absolutely packed full of French talent. So again, looking from fullback, we've got Maxime Meda. Then on the wings, we've got Labelle and the superb Cheslin Colby. Hope that he gets a chance to show what he can do in this game today. In the centres there, we've got Peter Aki and Zach Holmes. And probably for me, one of the most exciting halfback partnerships in Europe at the minute, with Antoine Dupont partnering Roman Untermack. We move down to the pack. Cyril Bay, Julien Machon and Charlie Famuina make up the front row. The Arnold boys are in the second row with Tolofua, Jerome Kaino and Francois Crow making up the back row. That leaves a bench of Makuva, Kasse, Aldegheri, Takori, Flamien, Placien, Juma, and Johan Uge. Brandon, so many big names, so many, two fantastic lineups. What do you think of those two teams? What are the highlights for you looking at those two teams?
I mean, both teams are absolutely star-studded, aren't they? They're such good teams, and both teams are going to look to attack. I mean, if you're looking at Toulouse, you've got to say straight away, you're looking at Dupont and Untermack at 9 and 10 and how good they are going to be. Dupont, for me, probably is the best player in the world, plays some awesome stuff, creates so many brilliant opportunities and loves to dart around. And he seems to have an extra second more than everyone else. And I think he's going to be massive in this game. For Clermont, I think Matsushima, our fullback, the Japanese fullback, is a really good fullback. I see him more on the wing. But he obviously had a brilliant 2019 Rugby World Cup, so people keep an eye on him. And I've always been a big fan of Wesley Fofana at centre. I've always been a big fan of his. Morgan Parra and Camille Lopez at 9 and 10 doesn't really inspire me that much. If you're comparing them to Dupont and Untermack, it's a very, very different. It's a very different proposition for both teams. But I think we're in for a great game here. The weather doesn't look great, but I think we're going to be in for a better game than the last one. Let's hope anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, like you said, the interesting matchup for me is, like you said, at halfback, you've got the experienced heads on the Clermont side of Camille Lopez and Morgan Parra. Have been there, they've done that. They've been at this stage of the tournament before. They know exactly what it is they need to do this afternoon. Whereas they've got the youth and the exuberance then of Antoine Dupont and Roman Untermack. For me, though, I don't know about you, Brandon, but for me, Clermont, they're always the bridesmaid and never the bride. It's that sort of that thing that they always seem to be so powerful, so exciting to watch, but they've never seemed to be able to do it in Europe. So do you think this year could be the year they go all the way?
Oh, I'm not too sure. In my preview, I did back Toulouse to win. If they win today, it's really tough because all the teams I've gone through, I've done really, really well. I mean, you look at La Rochelle, who have done very well in the top 14, only been in the top 14 for the past 3-4 years, and yet they're second in the league there. You look at Toulouse, who they're facing today, who are very, very strong side as well. And then you look at Leinster, who were brilliant against Exeter yesterday. I think that's probably been the best game we've seen so far in the Champions Cup. But Clermont, as you said, are always that nearly team, aren't they? Similar to Ulster in many ways, always that nearly team, nearly getting there, not quite being able to make it. I think it's going to be a tough day for them today, but I do expect it to be very, very close. I think it'll be a great match.
Yeah, I'll agree with you as well, buddy. I got another point to you, but we'll have a look at some of the comments first to see what people are saying. Gregor, I do agree with you. I don't really understand that one. Watching the players come into the stadium, there were French fans lining the streets as they were coming in. So that was one I didn't really understand. Yeah, Freddie, good to see you, buddy. And yeah, hopefully a much better game than the last one, because that was like watching paint dry, the last one. Yes, Sean, I did try my best, but French is not my mother tongue, and unfortunately it didn't come out the way that I would have wanted it to. Tried my best, though. Yeah, big move for Yato into the second row. I think effectively now, and not only just by position-wise, I think Clermont have got 3 back rowers on the field now, because Yato's so used to playing 6 for them. So not really sure why they've made that move with him, because he'll definitely do a job for them wherever he plays on the field, and going for a 6-2 split on the bench as well. So that's one thing I did want to come on to before we come on to the point that I wanted to make. But when you go with such a heavy forwards to back split on the bench, Brandon, do you think it benefits teams, or do you think in some cases it might hinder them, especially if you have injuries in the back line, or perhaps your back line is not working in the way that it normally would?
I think it can do. I think it shows the mindset of the team going into the match, doesn't it? That they've decided to pick 6 forwards there. Again, not to be mean to props. I think props are great to the game. They offer a lot, especially Tag Furlong could probably play at 10 some days, the way he plays. But they're not physically able to last as long, obviously, as some of the backs in the team. So that is something that would come into mind. But I think it shows a lot of the mindset. Again, the game is so much more now about the breakdown, about slowing the ball down, about winning the battle of the breakdown. If you win that battle, you're more than likely going to win the game. And we saw that with the game today. It was very scrappy, back and forth, penalties at the breakdown. There was no flow to the game. And that was really where there was too much of a battle there, people making stupid little mistakes at the breakdown that slowed the game down. So going that 6-2 split is an interesting choice. I don't think it's as ambitious as it should be. But you know what? We'll see how it goes for the sides today.
Yeah, definitely. And I think always going with a heavy forward split, it always says something about your game. If you're going to go with that many forwards on your bench, it does indicate the sort of game you like to play. But I just love the way Clermont play. And I especially think if you look at that Clermont back 3, Damien Penaud, Matsushima and Paseli Yato, my gosh, if those guys get an inch of space today, they really are going to cause the Toulouse side problems. Now, I'm going to bring up one of the comments that's dropped down into the chat, and it's from Gregor, because it's going to move me on to my next point, where he says, Toulouse haven't won in Clermont since 2002. Now, I spoke to you whilst we were off air about this, Brandon. For me, when I remember first starting to watch rugby, you saw Toulouse, they were at the peak of their game, Fabien Pelou, Clermont Poitrenaud, all those fantastic players littered throughout the side. And then there seemed to be a drop-off when that quality crust of players went. They sort of diminished a little bit, and they started to struggle in the league again. But they've, with this youthful side that they've seemed to have brought through now, they started to compete a lot more, and they're back up to the level that they once were. But it's the first time, I think, that they've been at this stage of the tournament for a number of years. I've said to you about Clermont. Do you think Toulouse can really do it? Have they got enough quality, and have they got the manpower to make it all the way to the final?
Oh, definitely. I think they're one of the favourites. I think I backed them at the start to pretty much go all the way. The only question mark I'd have over them is the experience of big matches. Obviously, they're top of the top 14 at the minute out in France. They're top of that by 3 points over La Rochelle. But again, they've not been at this stage for a very, very long time. And I was really impressed by their win against Munster last week. But today against Clermont, I don't think it'll be as big as an issue. I am going to back them to win today. But they face a Leinster, next week, and a team who know how to win these big games. Pro 14 champions. We don't want to get too much into the debate between the differences between the two leagues all that much, but Leinster know how to win matches. They know when to turn it on. Do Toulouse have enough game management, the management of the situation, of what the occasion means? I do think having an empty stadium is going to benefit Toulouse today because it is in Clermont. But going all the way is going to be tough, but they've certainly got the talent to do it. I mean, when you got Antoine Dupont at 9, Untermac at 10, you probably got the best halfback pairing in the world right there. Or maybe Jalibert is better.
Yeah, we were talking about that when we watched the game just now. But they are just going through the lineups now on BT Sport. And just to remind you guys, this isn't. I won't be streaming the game due to copywriting reasons. Okay, but you can catch the game over on BT Sport 2. It's going to be a cracking game, so I'd urge anybody to get across and watch it. I think this is probably the game I've probably looked more forward to the most this weekend. But thank you for joining us if you are here. If you do join us on Facebook, make sure to give the page a like and give us a follow. And if you're here on YouTube, make sure to like the video and subscribe to help the channel grow. Channel was born on Friday with my first video where I did a little review looking at the Pro 14 versus the Gallagher Premiership. Seems to have gone down really, really well so far, and thank you for all of your support on that. It's been really, really pleasing to see it, and some of your comments as well. They've been really helpful to me as I launch this new venture that I've decided to go down from the inspiration of yours truly, Brandon.
Christ. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah, so if that's anything to go by, the content is going to go downhill. No, I'm joking. But I know a lot of the guys that are here now, they've come over from your channel, Brandon. But if you haven't come across, and this is the first time that you've seen Brandon, fantastic rugby YouTuber, knows a lot about the game. And we always have very heated discussions, especially when it comes to the Pro 14, because he is an Ospreys fan, unfortunately, bless him. Somebody's got to support them, I suppose. But no, it's really, really knows his stuff. So it's definitely worth a subscribe. He pulls a big shift every weekend. He did 4 games back-to-back yesterday, Brandon. I'm surprised you're still awake today. I thought you'd have been absolutely all rugbyed out.
No, I enjoyed it yesterday. Some good games, though. We were very lucky. I mean, I hope this game will be better than the game before. Obviously, it finished dramatically for Bordeaux as they won, and I thought they deserved to win, and they were the better team throughout. But I think today, I think it's going to be interesting to see the start of this game, because what I felt with the last game, I don't know what you think, was that both teams were very nervy, very much wanting to win, weren't committing too much, weren't going for it too much. And I think Racing will be kicking themselves after that one, thinking we probably should have gone for that a lot more, really pushed ourselves a lot more. Yeah,
I think if you look at that game, it was classic cup rugby. It was one of those things where neither side wanted to lose the game, but neither of the sides wanted to do anything too outrageous or too audacious that was going to result in a mistake that could potentially lose them the game. So I think that was why we saw such a cagey affair. But like you said, with this one, I don't think it's in the nature of these two sides to play a cagey affair. I think when you've got backlines that are as fully loaded as these are, you're going to see some fantastic tries today. I've got no doubt about it. But the Toulouse side are just on their way out now, wearing their red strip, and looks very, very interesting, this lineup. So make sure you get your predictions down in the comments section. We'll have a nice little discussion as this game goes on, pretty chilled out as we watch the game together, and I'm sure we'll discuss some other rugby topics as we go, especially in the last one. We got through, I think, everything that's going wrong with rugby at the minute during the last game, because we had much time to discuss. But yeah, so fingers crossed this is a better game, but we'll still get to your comments as we go along. And thank you very much for joining us if you are here, as we are approaching kickoff ever so closely now. And here come the Clermont side wearing their bright blue strip, coming into an empty Stade Marcel Michelin. For me, that's probably one of those stadiums that when it's a big European game, when you see it full and the fans are properly on it, that's probably one of the most intimidating places you can ever go to play rugby. But like you said, no fans today. So how much of an impact will it have on this Toulouse side? We don't know. But yeah, definitely excited for this one. Just hope it lives up to the expectation now, because the last one we thought was going to be a good one. And yeah, we were very much let down until right at the end when we had a whopping 55 metre penalty to finish the game off.
Yeah, it was a brilliant kick from Jalibert, and it really summed up a good performance from him. He only missed one kick all day. If I was the opposition teams, I wouldn't be all that worried about Bordeaux, if I'm being totally honest. I don't know. They managed the game very well, but probably should have done a little bit more in the game. But I'm excited for this one. I'm going to back Toulouse to win this one by 3 to 5 points. I think it's going to be really close. I think it'll be a nail-biting one.
Well, Sean definitely agrees with you, Brandon. He's gone for Toulouse to get a 3-point win. Clermont 27, Toulouse 30. Yeah, quite rightly, Freddie. It is definitely the yellow wall of rugby and an extremely intimidating place to go. So we are underway. Toulouse playing in the red, Clermont in the blue, and Toulouse attacking from right to left. Mistake straight from kickoff there. The one thing you've got to say is it's absolutely hammering down at the stadium there. It really does look like it's tricky conditions. But we start with a line out just inside the 22 for Clermont. Looking for a nice little exit here just to settle themselves into the game. But I think the one thing we can say is when you look at both the French side, well, all the French sides really, is they've got this real big pack, not so much big as in heavy, but like big pack as in quality players throughout, know how to get this job done. And first penalty of the game is awarded to Clermont. Little bit of afters with Varmina and Faumawina. But
yeah, Varmina knows all about using his elbows, doesn't he?
He certainly does, yeah. He certainly does. Poor old Aaron Wainwright's chin found out about that pretty quickly when they were playing. But yeah, good to see Luke Pearce refereeing this game. I know Freddie was talking about it when we watched the last game, was saying that definitely for me up there is the best referee in terms of referees that haven't retired. Since Nigel Owens has stepped down from international rugby and big events like this. Those Wayne Barnes and Luke Pearce for me have stepped forward as probably the best two referees, and starting to learn a little bit more French as well, which is probably why he's been put in charge of this one. But yeah, for you, Brandon, like regardless of the result of this game, the final four of this tournament are going to be made up by 3 French sides and an Irish side. Is that a fair reflection of where you think rugby is in Europe at the minute, or do you think that COVID has definitely had an impact on those results across the weekend, or COVID implications?
I do and I don't. I think that the Premiership sides will be disappointed. Like a Bristol, you'd have expected Bristol to beat Bordeaux, but interesting TMO in that game, that's for sure. Yesterday, I know a few Sale Sharks fans, I've been getting a bit of grief from them on my channel about my pick for who I was going to pick for the La Rochelle game, and I was right, so we'll just leave that one there. But you expect Sale maybe to have given La Rochelle a tougher match than they did. But no, the French sides, they seem to have a massive pack, so they're a bit they are able to get the platform to play, and then they have such talented backs from they got a lot of Pacific Nations teams in there, players playing in there like Bottier playing for La Rochelle, who is one of the best centres in the world. He was so good. And then you look at this Toulouse team, Untermark, Dupont, once again, Cheslin Colby on the wing. You just look at the teams and you think the complete team is there. But I would still back Leinster to potentially win this just because of their know-how, how to do it, and their temperament in matches. The French sides always have this ability to implode. They've always got the ability to do something stupid. Yeah,
definitely. So looking at that final four then, so we know obviously 3 of the sides already. We know that we've got Leinster, we've got La Rochelle, we've got... Oh my God, my brain's gone blank.
We've got La Rochelle, we've got... La Rochelle,
La
Bordeaux.
Rochelle. Yes, that's cool. I was thinking we've literally just watched this. So we've got La Rochelle, we've got Leinster, we've got Bordeaux, and obviously either Clermont or Toulouse. So out of those four, who wins it for you?
Oh, it's between Toulouse and Leinster for me. It really depends on who we get in the semi-finals. Of course, the draw is being made straight after this game finishes, and so I would. Bordeaux, although they did well, I did just mention it before, I wouldn't be all that worried about them if I was an opposition team, because there's plenty of quality in the other three teams to get at this Bordeaux team. So I wouldn't be too worried. I just thought Racing were really poor today, didn't create enough. They really missed their injured players today. Toulouse played brilliant rugby, and I was really impressed against them against Munster. Clermont also played some good stuff, and they're actually playing some nice...
Hang on a sec. Raka was very, very close there. Sorry to cut you off there, Brandon. No, lovely attack. Lovely attack on the left-hand side. Matsushima dropping the ball onto the peg and skidding it across the turf there. And took a really nice little curve in field. And Raka, he should have done better there, really. His first touch is absolutely dreadful. If he was playing football this afternoon, he'd be subbed off for that. It was a dreadful touch. He just needed to tap it in front of him and he was in. But yeah, I think if you look at the teams that are lining up at the latter stages of the tournament now, I think you definitely got to look. It's going to be a French side for me that wins it. I know Leinster was superb against Exeter yesterday, but they just seem to have this extra tier, this extra level that they take themselves to, and they put themselves out of reach of other teams when they play them. You know, they always seem to show up really, really well. I know Clermont stuttered a little bit against Wasps last week, but ultimately, you know, they scored some great tries and won that game. And yeah, interesting what you said there, Sean. I got to tend to agree with you. I felt the Sale did not fire a lot of shots and a lot of errors. For me, as a Welsh fan, I think what happened to Sale yesterday was exactly what Sale did to the Scarlets last week. And La Rochelle did exactly the same thing. A lot of mistakes made by Sale, and La Rochelle punished them. And especially towards the tail end of that second half, you know, I think Sale were very, very fortunate. You know, not to say that they didn't play well, but I think considering how well La Rochelle played in the first half of that game yesterday, they definitely seemed to be better than the scoreline suggested at halftime. I mean, they were only 2 points in front come halftime. Just a quick one. Cami Lopez is going off here. Looks like that hit that he took from one of the Arnold boys. He's done something to his shoulder, so it looks like Tim Nanai-Williams has come onto the field. I don't know whether he'll step in at 10. But yeah, they have made that change now, and Toulouse have just won the line out inside their own 5-meter line, as Dupont looks to clear. But yeah, it was a tough day at the office for the Sale boys yesterday, especially in the second half. They just completely ran out of ideas. They ran out of they ran out of energy. It looked like towards the end. But a lovely little show and go there by Matsushima. Is that a penalty to Toulouse? Was it a clean turnover? Yep, turnover ball. And that's the one thing you've got to say about the last game we watched as well, and this one so far as well, is that the sides are competing really heavily at the breakdown and trying to get that turnover ball to launch their attacks from.
Yeah, very much so. I think that's something that we're seeing more and more in the modern game now. Again, the battle of the breakdown is so important, and I think it's important to get the balance right, because sometimes you can compete too much, and even if you don't win the battle there, then you make another stupid mistake and you give away stupid penalties, and the ref will always favour us one team in a game who are dominating on top. But here in Wales, you know, we got some brilliant back row options to cause a menace out the breakdown. But it is going to be massive. We've just seen it again there for that penalty, another penalty at the breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange one, you know, because you look, and we've talked about this before, myself and Brandon, we've talked about the fact that if you look in terms of the national sides and where they are in comparison to their club sides, you'd probably say France is probably the closest in terms of how well their national side is doing versus how well their club sides are doing. I mean, it's been, you know, well publicised, you know, that the Welsh regions really have struggled in Europe this season. when you look at the fact that all 4 regions were knocked out in the round of 16 matches in both Heineken and the Challenge Cup. You look at the English sides, there was Exeter and Sale yesterday in the Heineken Champions Cup, and there were a few sides in the Challenge Cup as well. But the English national side seemed to stutter a little bit during the Six Nations, and for Ireland, their national team seems to be struggling. But you look in terms of how good their club sides are. But the French sides, they seem to really have that cohesion in terms of performance at club level and then the performance at the national level as well. And we talked on your stream earlier on, Brandon, that France, although how good they are, they're still not quite the finished article.
No, they're not. I don't know. I've said it many times before, but France have this ability to implode and have this ability not to manage the game properly. And that's going to come with experience. You've got to remember they're a very young team. Bryce Dulin is like 23, I believe it is, playing for La Rochelle. Dupont's 23, and Tamac, I believe, is 24, maybe something along them lines. In rugby terms, that's very, very young. If you compare that to the 9 and 10 of Wales, so you probably say Bigger is the first choice fly half. He's 31. Thomas Williams is mid-20s. Is he 26, 27 maybe? Something around there. So the experience. And these guys have literally been picked up. So for France, you say Camille Lopez. You probably said the halfback pairing for Clermont today, 3-4 years ago, would have been France's first choice fly half and scrum half. So they've literally picked up Unsmack and Dupont, plonked them in the French national team, said play. And that's really difficult to do. And I think France is certainly on the right way. I think, what's his name? Sean Edwards coming in. And I'm sure his Wigan accent shouting at them, how much they understand him, but I'm sure they're listening very carefully to whatever he does. Because I don't think they have much of a choice. But I think it will come with time. I think Gautier plays really nice rugby. And I do think they will be challenging for the 2023 Rugby World Cup. I do think they'll be up there.
Yeah, and they're building in the right way, and that's the one thing you have to say is that they do look really good at the moment. They're in really good shape, and they're looking really good as you look towards the 2023 World Cup at their home venue. Been a little bit of a cagey one here at the start. A few little mistakes, a few penalties here or there. Neither side have really managed to get a foothold in this game so far, but it's going to take the likes of Dupont to organise the troops and get them into the right areas of the field to start firing some shots, really, because on a day where the conditions are as wet as they are, you don't imagine that it's going to be a lot of free-flowing hands, soft hands rugby. It's going to be very much where the game is played. Looks like Para's just taken a foot to the head there. He sort of like lost all shape in his body as soon as he...
Not stop the play there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's literally... Even the Toulouse players have jumped across to him. That's a huge, huge blow.
Yeah, he's taken a big hit there. I mean, very, very experienced guy, obviously.
Let's have a little look at this here. He goes down on the ball. Oh, it looks like he catches a hip. Maybe it doesn't look like a boot.
No, it's the hip.
Look like a boot. Oh, so he's definitely going to have to go off for a HIA, especially his reaction from it. So that's a big, big concern for Clermont going forward. They've just ticked over to 10 minutes now, and they're going to be without both their starting halfbacks in, as we mentioned, that 6-2 split.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who's going to fit in where? That's going to be the big question for them now, because you've got to say that for Clermont, the experience, although Para, I honestly believe, has passed it, if I'm being totally honest. The experience that he brings. Has he gone off for HIA or is he still on?
I was just going to say, it looks like he's still on. That's questionable. Surely anything like that has got to result in a HIA. Yeah. But yeah, good setup from Toulouse here. Clermont look at 6s and 7s with him, ball defence here.
Yeah. This is really good.
You've got some forwards standing out. You've got some forwards trying to get stuck in and stop it at source. It doesn't really seem they've got a clear defence of them all at the moment. Off. Good carry from Arnold there. And this is where Toulouse and the French sides are also good. When they get the speed of ruck ball and Dupont just starts dropping those little passes in. And he has knocked it on there. But when they start dropping those little passes and they start making massive inroads, you've got to say that it's always something that sides worry about when that speed of ball comes. Some of the comments. Sean, Ronan O'Gara doing really well with La Rochelle. They need to improve on their kicking. Missed 4 silly ones. I got to agree. I think Ronan O'Gara, he's one of those that he was involved with the Racing setup for a while. Worked with some superb players. At one point where he was the kicking coach at Racing 92, and Dan Carter was one of the players in the active squad. It must have been a really surreal experience for him, having to coach what was probably the best 10 in the world at the time. But yeah, down at La Rochelle, they seem to be getting things right at the moment. And again, you looked at their starting lineup yesterday, and we talked about Bryce Doolan, but you looked at some of the players that they've brought in as well, like the halfback pairing of Kerr Barlow and Ehire West. Even though Ehire West didn't have a great game off the boot, for me, he really impressed me in his attacking play. And it's like we talk, with the French rugby, I think their attitude is if you throw enough money at it, eventually it'll work. But good scrum here in the 22 as Matsushima looks to clear. Not a great clearance. Looks like it's just skewed off the side of the boot there. But yeah, again, another very cagey start in this one, Brandon.
Yeah, very, very cagey. I don't think the weather helps either. But again, it shows how much this game means to both teams. I just can't believe that Morgan Parra is still on the pitch.
Yeah,
what happens in the UK or Ireland, he's off for HIA. And this is nothing against the French or anything like that, but the way they do things in France is a little bit different. And if people don't know, I'm studying sport journalism in university, and one of the essays I recently wrote was on how concussion is dealt with within rugby compared to football. And it's not on the referee within the game to say that player has to go off for HIA. It's on the team doctor to come on and say he's got symptoms of concussion, he needs to go on. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I can tell that he's got symptoms of concussion from that connection to his head. So the team doctor has a duty there to say that he needs to go off. But maybe the message from the coach upstairs saying he's not coming off. I don't care. He's not coming off.
That's what I was going to say. There is that element there of saying, that they've got due diligence to protect the player at all costs. But like what Freddie said, and losing their 9 and 10 could have been a massive problem for them. So did that have any impact in their decision? You'd hope not, because like you said, you're not, this isn't like a contentious thing of like going to contested scrums or something. This is a player's welfare you're looking at. And Sean there, the doctor should have more authority to deal with it and tell the coach off. I know for a fact, and I love watching the Lions documentaries when they come out and sort of the behind the scenes. And for me, James Robson, he's been with the Scottish setup for a number of years now. And when he was working with Graham Henry, who has been well documented, a very, very difficult person to work with, just because he demands such high standards of the players around him. And I remember him saying that he had to go to him in the first test in Australia in 2001, and he said to him that Neil Back wouldn't be available for the first test. And Graham Henry said, well, I need him. And he said, I don't care if you need him or not. He's not fit to play, so he's not going to play. And I think that's what you need in those instances in particular, especially when it's like a head injury or something like that. But we have got a penalty to Clermont here. I think it was for in the side at the ruck. Parra looks to be a little bit better now. Looks to be a little bit better to me. But again, you'd hope that even just as a precaution, they took him off just to do some simple checks, and they are showing the team doctor there on the replay. That's a huge boot from Nanae Williams. What a kick that is!
Perfectly kicked, right up to the 5 meter line. That
I thought he'd bitten off a bit more than he could chew, but look at his face there when he guessed that. He knows he's absolutely nailed that. But that's what you want, as a forward, you're working hard in those mauls and you're trying to eke out as many yards as you can. And then when you get that penalty, your forwards are almost saying to you, go on, give us a platform and we'll work from it. And that's a fantastic kick. So line out here. They've gone to the tail and they set up the maul nicely here. It's a good shape. Arnold's looking to get those enormous arms in there and try and disrupt, but they look like they've got a good shape here and they're starting to move forward. Crow's got to be very careful coming through at that angle there.
He's going to be in trouble here.
He's forcing. They've dropped it. So Toulouse have got a chance to clear here. Very well defended, you've got to say. I thought they were going to pick Crow up then because he was he seemed to be in quite a precarious position. But I suppose if he's come through through the middle, then there's no problem whatsoever. Oh, and it's a penalty to Toulouse. Luke Pearce is going to have a chat to the captain here, I think. He's called. Don't you love it when you see a referee who's like so much smaller than these players and he's talking to two massive forwards saying, right, cut it out. I've had enough of it now. not having it anymore.
Oh, that's an awful tackle from the number 8.
Yeah, that is a bad tackle. I'm surprised they haven't gone back. Yeah. Surprised they haven't gone back to look at that.
Mm.
But, Toulouse will be very grateful for that. Being pinged back on their own 5-metre line, you think they'd be glad to get away with that. Thank you if you have joined us. This is a live watch-along. We're not actually showing the coverage of the game, but we are just going to be having a little watch-along. Some little bit of commentary in between and just chatting about things that are happening in the game. But again, another penalty there at the line-out time. And this was a very, very similar thing that happened in the last game, Brandon, when we were looking at it, and we said that the penalties, although they're important to give, and if players are making indiscretions, then it has to be penalised. But at the same time, it really does affect players getting into the game and the flow of the game.
It just disrupts the game. Unsmack is going to go for the posts here, and this will be the first points we've had in this game. We're nearly 18 minutes in, but it just seems like both teams, I don't know, it's a quarter final, isn't it? There's a lot at stake. Clermont in the top 14, if I'm correct in saying, are not having the best of seasons. Toulouse obviously are top of the table. Clermont are in 4th, so they're not doing too badly, actually, but Toulouse are top, 3 points clear. And so they've both got a lot to play for, but they're taking it seriously because they've both picked very, very strong sides. But the game is scrappy, and hopefully will open up.
He's missed that.
He has missed that indeed. So it remains 0-0.
And you've got to say that, especially, like you said, we're nearly 20 minutes into this game, still no points. You've got to be taking those opportunities. But like you said, that's a mighty old kick to take on. But I suppose that's another one up for Jalibert. If that had been Jalibert, that would have gone straight down the middle.
I couldn't believe he got it, but I was so glad he did because I could not be bothered with extra time in that game because it was not a special game at all, was it?
We'd struggled through 80 minutes as it was. We didn't need the extra. Oh, dear. But another one as well, I was just looking at him there. Has he got that? Oh, I thought he nailed that perfectly. Another one, that Maxime Meda, he was another one that a few years back, he was the first name on that French sheet. But he's still going, he's still doing what he does, and he's on a lovely little run there, being absolutely smashed. And I think, they almost turned that over there. Is it advantage to lose, though? Yeah, he's gone off his feet there. Is it off feet he's giving it for?
I'm not too sure, but chance here for...
Oh, this fisticuffs in between has got to stop.
You brought some props together, they're angry enough, but if you brought them French props together, then...
That's true. Well, goodness forbid if it comes to the point that we get Rabah Slimani on and we have about 9 million penalties at the scrum. But yeah, he's lining it up again. Similar position to the last one, out to the left for him. But a little bit closer to the post. Great tackle technique from Matsushima there. Really, really good.
He actually takes a really big hit there, but he manages to ride the original hit and then to go again. Halfway in this first half, though, we're hopefully going to get our first points.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we've seen with the last game, we looked at this game as well. With the French side, you definitely see that thing that there's so much money pumped into the game. These sides have to deliver on the bigger stage. And you think that sometimes that is shown in what the players are actually doing. And I think he's missed a second one there.
Has he missed it? I thought he got it.
I thought he'd got it as well, but he has missed it. And you've got to say that's 6 points gone now, and in a game where it's been quite balanced, both sides have had their opportunities. There definitely has been chances for points there, but 6 points down the drain, and we still remain at 0-0. So, where do you see the breakthrough coming in this game, Brandon? Do you see it being from a forwards perspective, or do you think that it's going to come from the likes of Jalibert? I'm going crazy here. Do you think it's going to come from like a little bit of magic or something like that?
I think it's going to be a discipline thing, I really think it's going to be a discipline. This contest is really brewing up. Both teams obviously doing pretty well in the top 14, know each other very, very well. Many players will have been playing for France and know each other from there. So there's a lot of ego on the line. I've got a feeling that there's going to be a French moment of stupidity in this one. And it's going to give an opportunity for the likes of either Dupont or Matsushima for Clermont to really do something special. We haven't seen the big players on the ball, though. Dupont's been involved but not done all that much. Chazin Colby, I don't think we've mentioned him once yet.
I was just going to say, he just made a carry there, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was maybe his first or second touch of the game, because they've been very, very quiet. But yeah, I don't know if I like that on Maxi Medas down there. Whenever you see a player slap at the ball, you always think, "Uh-oh, could spell trouble here." But yeah, like you said, the big players, and it's always that environment, especially when you get to the quarterfinals of a European competition, that you want those big players to stand up, but at the same time, you don't want, as a team, to be making mistakes that allows the opposition to make inroads into your defence and to cause that. That, for me, that's a penalty for Yato there. He's not actually trying to get the ball. He's just slapping it out of his hands.
Yeah. I don't even know. Had he made contact with the ball as Dupont just dropped it?
I don't really know, actually. Johan Uge is on. I don't know who he's on for. Or it looks like Maida must be going off. Well, it looks like a HIA. It doesn't look like they've been doing any sort of treatment to any other area of his body, and he seems to be walking. Oh, that's not him. That's why.
One of my favourite French players of all time, loves a rainy night in Paris.
Who's that?
Johan Uge.
Oh gosh,
George North's favourite player as well.
I always look back to that game. I know it's like a really off-topic thing here, but that George North try back in 2019, where the ball gets kicked through and North is galloping after and Uge's there. If that's any other game, for me, I didn't understand how the referee didn't blow up, because you don't know how they're going to deal with the ball that's put through. But usually, as soon as sides kick the ball away, that's advantage over, and they come back to whatever it was, whether it was a scrum or penalty advantage. So I was always like, whenever I watched that, I was obviously absolutely beaming, and probably at the time I would have been jumping up and down on the sofa. But I always watch that try and think, how did that get given?
Not complaining. It was a great night.
Welcome to Rock and Roll Rugby, where we talk absolute nonsense about things that happened years ago. It's going to be one of the features now. But yeah, nice platform here for Clermont to attack as Matsushima goes down the right wing. And a penalty to Clermont. I don't really know what it was for. Hands in the ruck, is he saying?
Offside.
Offside. It's really difficult when you're not actually listening to the commentary of the game. I'm trying to understand what the arm signals are. I think I might have a poster on my wall of all the refereeing signals. That's a dangerous clear out, mine, from Fritz Lee. He's just come absolutely flying in there.
There's just no regard for who he's flying into, is there, at all? Though?
No. I think what Sean said, your gladiator arena this is. I think that's what's going to... This game is going to bubble up before long. I think it really is going to become like a clash of heads or something, or it's going to be something's going to happen, because this game is just so aggressive at the moment.
Yeah. There is going to be a moment where it boils over. Yeah. There's got to be. There's got to be.
As Para lines up, pretty tricky kick for his first one, you've got to say. Right out on the right-hand touchline for a left footer. Let's see how he gets on with this one. See if that knock to the head has affected his kick in. Oh, absolutely not. What a strike. Straight down the middle. And we've got our first point of the game.
It's only taken us 25 minutes.
It's only taken 25 minutes. So we have our first score of the game. Clermont 3, Toulouse 0.
I think on the balance of play, though, Toulouse would be pretty frustrated. I think they've probably been a little bit better, but not all that much at all. It's been one of them games where, yeah, it's pretty tight at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely, Freddie. Finally, some points. we've been ever so patient in both of these games. We've just been sat here trying to fill the time whilst we're waiting for something to happen. But yeah, we've got our first points of the game. Lovely kick from Para, you've got to say, and like you said, it's going to be youth versus experience almost. I know Cami Lopez has gone off now, but you know the youth of Antoine Dupont and the fact that he is probably the best 9 in the world at the minute against Morgan Para, a player that's been there, done that. You know, he was an integral part of the French setup for a number of years. And it'll be a case of who comes out, youth or experience today. Yeah. But a nice little break there from Arnold as he slips the first tackle and moves down towards the 22. A little bit of crossing for me there. Yeah, Antomac has just stood there and had no idea what he's doing there. and this is where I think it could go by you, because we talk a lot about like the sort of the compiling of errors and the compiling of things happening in games. And like you look at Antomac now, 2 kicks missed. He's just given a penalty away for crossing, and things like that will start to get into his head. And this is where we talked earlier on. Has he got the composure to stand up from this now and say, right, I've made my mistakes, but at the end of the day, I've got a job to do here, and not let it get to him? Because it's moments like that could lose you a game. You know, you imagine that happens with maybe 2 minutes to go. You know, that could lose you a game. So we had the chat earlier on, but we'll reintroduce it now. For you a Jalibert fan or you an Ntamak fan?
I absolutely love Jalibert and Ntamak. I think they're both brilliant. They're awesome options. Obviously, Ntamak was injured for a long time and came into that final game against Scotland because Jalibert was injured. Jalibert had a really good tournament. And today, he was by far the best player on the pitch. Kicked all of his kicks, bar one, got a monster kick at the end. Threw in a couple of nice little chips. For me, at the minute, I think Jalibert is probably France's starting number 10.
Yeah, you've got to say it's unfortunate for Ntamak because you know he had a really, really good Six Nations last year. And he sort of started to do really, really well as the Autumn Nations Cup went on, but they were only playing 3 games. But yeah, for me, I think Jalibert took his opportunity with both hands. He's really grown into the role at 10. And listening to the commentary last week when they were interviewing the coaches before the game, they mentioned the fact that he'd come back from French camp and he came back with far more confidence, far more ability and confidence in his abilities then to lead the pack around, lead the team around. And you've got to say he did it really, really well earlier on. You know, in a very, very cagey game, but I think he knew when to kick, he knew when to play as the pigeons are waddling around on the field. But yeah, I think like, and a lot of people saying in your chat, and you know, Freddie saying now, for me, I think Jalibert going forward is going to be the 10 for France, which I know they mentioned at one point the fact that Dupont and Ntamak playing week in, week out together at Toulouse. That was probably the thing that France wanted moving forward, is that they had that half-back pairing that played together quite often. If you look back a few years back when we had the Osprey side of 08-09, where the 9 and 10 combo of Hook and Phillips would be translated from the national side into the club side and then back and forth. And they had really, really good relationships with one another. As Para lines up his second kick at goal, and it is successful. So we have more points. Oh, more points. We're going to be giddy in a second now.
Today.
Being treated. But the thing is, we've watched 80 minutes of the last game and we've watched basically half an hour of this game and we still haven't seen a try.
We actually haven't seen a try at all.
We haven't seen a try. What have we got to do to get a try?
Compared to yesterday's games, I mean, we thought we'd got a try at the end of the last one, but then obviously TMO ruled it out. But lovely, awful attempt to gather the restart there. He's flapping like, what are you doing there?
What is it with Armina and his arms? Like, he just, like they don't belong to him. He just flaps them around for a bit. But yeah, sensible play there and a good exit there because, like I said, it wasn't the cleanest of takes from the kickoff. So it was definitely one of those things you just wanted to get rid of the ball. Yeah, I'm with you, Robert. 3-0 after 25 minutes, another try fest from the French teams. Do you think it's down to the way that the teams are playing, or do you genuinely think it's that they know what stage of the tournament they're at and they know what they need to do to progress to the semi-finals?
I'm not sure. I don't know, because if you compare the way they're playing to the way the French national team plays, it's jouer, it's just play and play.
Yeah.
And yet here, the top 14 has always been known as a very physical league where teams look to dominate physically, use the driving maul a lot to good effect, use the scrum. I don't know if it's the occasion or if it's just that, for whatever reason, today we're just having a load of crap games, because yesterday's games were absolutely brilliant. Even La Rochelle came out and played. But I expected the game to open up a lot more in the last one. But I do think these two sides, I do think their quality will be going to come through because of their quality. Because simply put, both these teams are probably better than Bordeaux. Like, I really wouldn't be worried about Bordeaux if you had them in the semi-finals. I think they did well today, but Racing were poor. I wouldn't be too worried.
No, I think that as the tournament goes on, you certainly see sides switch to that cup rugby mentality. You know, they're no longer looking to get bonus points in the group stage. They're literally thinking, we need to get through this game, whatever means necessary. And for these sides that play that sort of that high risk, high reward rugby, we looked yesterday at Exeter. They're very much a team that, when they do take their risks, they are majority of the time because they're going to reward from it, and they're comfortable to go to their pack. But obviously, we saw Leinster come back yesterday and do a superb job to win that game, considering, you know, they were 14 points down after, I think it was just under 14 minutes. And then they came back to win it, and I think they managed that game superbly well. So they can take a lot away from yesterday. How much La Rochelle can take away from their game against Sale, because like we've mentioned in the chat already this afternoon, I think for Sale, it's not really a true reflection of where Sale are at the minute, I don't think. I think they're far better than that result showed yesterday. And I think it was genuinely down to the fact there was too many mistakes, and La Rochelle just punished them at any opportunity they got. Another side sitting pretty in the top 14 at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see who they get drawn against. I get the feeling that whoever get drawn against Bordeaux, not to sound negative in any way, shape or form, but the side to get drawn, Bordeaux, for me, they've got to be looking to progress, because other than the class of Jalibert, I don't think they offered a great deal today. They were very, very intense with the forwards. Oh, and as I've said, that Untermacher has got his first kick of the game from in front of the post and taken us to 6 points to 3. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I don't think Bordeaux offered a great deal. I think they do play some really, really nice stuff. But again, is it that cup rugby mentality, or is it the fact that was all they had to offer today?
I wasn't impressed with them, to be honest. And as you just alluded to, I think the team that get them next, I wouldn't be too worried about them. I think Racing were missing a lot of players today, and I don't know. It didn't feel like Racing were truly up for it. They weren't willing to risk. They were too scared to risk things, I felt. So I wasn't that impressed at all by Bordeaux or Racing today. But Jalibert, you know, he can create something out of nothing. He has the ability to do that. So we could see Bordeaux progress to the final, and it'd be an absolute underdog story if they win it. But I think these two teams would be thinking, if we avoid Leinster and we get Bordeaux, we're pretty much in the final.
Yeah, and you've got to look at it. I'm just saying, looking at those stats, but we've already seen 12 penalties in the first half hour of this game. Five going against Clermont and 7 against Toulouse. And you know, you're talking about in games, you know, the magic number they usually say is around 10. You know, in a game you're looking to concede 10 or less penalties. But you know, you're looking at this game now, and it's been another game where the the referee has got to be on his toes, because at the breakdown and in all aspects of sort of that physical confrontation, the referee's really having to do a good job and referee this as strictly as he can while still allowing the game to flow. And lovely kick from Matsushima there out of his own 22. I know Medar's pointed further up, trying to get some yards out of it, but that's a superb kick.
Matsushima's been good today.
I like him. I really, really like him. I know in the World Cup in 2015, when he first burst onto the scene in that emphatic win for Japan against South Africa, I think he really has improved his game by coming across to
driving mauls. So
that was superb. I was just going to say, I was almost going to interrupt myself there, but nice opportunity now on the outside as Raka misses the tackle. Penno on the loose. Penno striking up the left-hand wing. A great covering tackle by Dupont, but he gets the offload to Nanai Williams, and Clermont set up just outside the Toulouse 22. Raka, great carry into the 22. Good clear out and quick ball. That's exactly what they need. Keep over this now when they're putting pressure on. A bit of excitement. Fofana looking for the outside.
Forcing it. Just forcing.
Have they kept, or have we gone? Luke Pearce has stopped there. I think it was a knock on there, personally. But that just shows how dangerous this Clermont side are. My gosh.
I don't know why Medavs decided to kick that in the first place. There was no need to do that. But again, though, Penno here does really well.
He's such a great runner. And I think, he adds something to the French team that sort of a lot of teams would love to have, is a winger who's got the confidence in himself to just run with the ball.
Yeah.
And, as soon as he gets hold of that ball, he's gone. I don't know if it was just me that it generally looked like he was wearing his own socks. Like he didn't have the blue socks of Clermont on. Looks like he got his gym socks on. He must have left his kit in the house. Mum didn't wash it in time for him. But that's what this game needs now. Just a little bit of throw caution to the wind. The rain seems to have eased. Obviously, still a lot of it standing water. A lot of it still sort of resonating on the ball and what have you. But we've got just under 4 minutes now to go until half time. Very strong scrum from Clermont. Drop into the knees. I think they showed the stat just now. Both packs well over 900 kilos in each pack here. So they really are big packs and big strong packs. But unfortunately, indiscretion from Clermont at the scrum there, and Toulouse get a chance to exit. Let's have a look at some of the comments that we've got here. Sean O'Farrell, I think international teams should do more halfbacks that play with each other in club. For example, Ross Bourne and Luke McGrath. Exactly, and you look across at then Ulster as well. Billy Burns and John Cooney as well. Another great example of a halfback pairing, and looking at coming across still in the Pro 14, Jared Evans and Thomas Williams. That's another halfback pairing that could go on and do some real good. So that's interesting, actually, that international sides looking to use the pairings that actually link up. Freddie, they missed Russell. Yeah, they definitely did. They really, really did. No excitement for me, and the young fly half that stepped in really, really struggled. Penno takes the mark there as he clears for touch. Got to say, other than that little run that Penno just had just now, there's not a lot going on really in this game. It is, again, two big packs clashing heads against each other. What we got here? Rugby Geeks, good to see you in the chat, buddy. Stuck at work, I thought I'd drop and say hi. Untamak over Jelly Baby for me. It's going to be a closely contested one, isn't it? But I think from this weekend alone, you've got to say the Jalibert has got to be a step ahead at the moment. Ford and Youngs, and then followed up by Rugby Geek saying Freddie's living in 2015.
I think Ben Youngs had a really good Six Nations for England. I thought he's one of their shining lights. I think he's got back his form. And Ford, it should be starting 10 for England. Farrell should not be starting for England, in my opinion. So,
I think Ben Youngs
halfback pairings at all. I don't think they're awful.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah. another penalty here. Sorry, just to cut in. There's another penalty here to Toulouse. So a chance here for Untermac to level the game up. The penalty count again, it's going to be, I'm going to pull it up and we'll have a look at the stats just before the second half starts. But, you know, both sides are heading up towards double figures of penalties in the first half. And especially in cup rugby and knockout cup rugby, the last thing you want to be doing is giving away silly penalties that could, you know, result in a side building a lead against you, you know. I think at the moment, both sides are quite fortunate that the game is as close as it is. But with just under a minute to go, Untermac has got a chance to level the game up. And he's absolutely nailed that one. Superb kick. Well done, Untermac. So we're all level again. 6 points apiece.
Yeah, I think the big thing to remember for these two sides, well, the amount of penalties are building now is going to be discipline now, because the yellow cards could be in the minds. You're continuing to give this many penalties away. Yellow cards could be really, really important in the game. Again, we've seen the refs today and yesterday probably shy away from the cards too much.
Yeah, definitely. Don't know what Untermac was doing there. Some little dancing routine back in the 22. But yep, that is half time. Both sides going in level at the moment. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. I'm going to nip off to the loo, and then we'll come back and we'll look at some more of your comments, and we'll look through the stats and the breakdown of the first half. So be sure to join us. We'll be back very, very shortly. See you soon. Welcome back, guys. We're going to get into the stats from the first half now, and we're going to have a little look towards the second half. So, pretty cagey first half between Clermont and Toulouse, with the scores at 6-all at half time. Going to bring back my co-presenter today on a little show here at Rock and Roll Rugby in Brandon, and we're going to get into looking at some of the stats from the first half. So, all right, Brandon. So, for you, first half, what were your thoughts on the first half?
Very, very cagey, extremely cagey, but Clermont building into it at the end there. Had a couple of nice phases at the end. Then Matsushima making some nice runs. Wesley Fofana getting through a couple of tackles there. But yeah, very cagey, but I really expected it to open up in the second half. And I think it was beginning to open up a little bit in that first half there. So, and Tamak will be disappointed to have missed those 2 kicks I think he missed. Yeah. But still all to play for in the second half.
Absolutely. And let's have a little look at the stats to see just how close that first half was. So if we look at the first half, possession and territory, very, very close. Toulouse edge in the possession stats with 55% to Clermont's 45%. And territory, again, 52-48, very, very, very close there. We look down through the stats there. Nothing really massively standing out here, apart from you look there at the meters gained for Toulouse. 207 meters gained for Clermont, and only 79 for Toulouse, which, considering the amount of ball that Toulouse have had, you'd be concerned that they've only made 79 meters with that 55% of possession. But the carry numbers for the first half, only 40 for Toulouse and 34 for Clermont. That's really, really low. As we look down and through at some of the other stats, this is the one for me. We're looking at penalties. Oh, with me too. We're looking down at the penalties. We're down here. Okay, kick in. Again, a couple of kicks missed. Tackles missed as well. There's been quite a few of those as well. Something you could almost say you could put that down to that. But for me, there's the big stat to take away from the first half. 7 penalties for Clermont, 6 for Toulouse. And it has been a first half that's been plagued by poor discipline. And you hope in the second half now that we may get a chance to move away from that as we move towards maybe some better rugby. But yeah, not a lot to take away by looking at those stats, Brandon.
No, not all that much. You'd have to say that Clermont's been very dominant when they have had the ball, but it's all been played in the middle of the pitch, hasn't it? Again, the breakdown, a lot of mistakes going on there. Luke Pearce is pretty hot on some of those decisions. I did think it was interesting. We could have potentially have seen a yellow card to the Clermont's number 8. I think maybe they could have looked at that, and there were some decisions throughout the game. And even over this weekend, we've already alluded to it about the situation with the red cards. I think referees maybe a little bit, and knowing what it's like in the media now and everyone about us, too many red cards, the game's going soft, all these kind of things. But there have been some hits being put in some of these games where a red card, I think, should have been handed out. Not in this game, obviously, but I think they should definitely have had a look at that hit.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a look at what's going on down in the chat here. Come on, Eileen. Come on, somebody. Come on, anything in this second half. We need a little bit of excitement. Rugby Geeks, you're watching 10 minutes behind. Don't worry, mate. You haven't missed much. It's been one of those first halves, really, where I think you could have scrolled right the way to halftime and you wouldn't have really missed anything. Sean O'Farrell, I think, yeah, Antamak at the end of that. Then I think he had one eye on the clock and then one eye on his dancing feet as he made his way over the dead ball line to take us into halftime. And yeah, okay, so guys, if you haven't been across the Brandon yet and subscribed, please do so. Really, really good content. Probably some of my favourite stuff that I've seen on YouTube at the minute in terms of rugby content. Knows his stuff and really, really goes into detail. In these watch-alongs, he does watch-alongs every week. Pro 14 obviously finished now. Does them in the Premiership. Obviously, we're doing them in the Heineken Champions Cup, and we've done them in the Challenge Cup as well. So much as well. And we've got so much coming together as we move towards the summer. Brandon and I both present the Welsh Rugby Roundup show, and I will drop a link into the chat on that later on. And we do that once a month, and there's loads of stuff going through the channel at 3bod Rugby. So that's another place you want to go and follow to get your rugby fix, because trust me, especially we've got summer tours coming up. We've got the Lions tour. We've got potentially the Rainbow Cup. Who knows at the moment? But there's just so much coming. so much coming at you. You're just going to really, really enjoy all three of the channels, my own, Brandon's, and over at 3bod Rugby Group. So we're just awaiting the second half to get underway now. We've just gone to an advert break over on BT Sport. Looking back across the weekend, Brandon, obviously, because this is the last game of the weekend. Now, I was just trying to think if there was any more in the Challenge Cup to go later on, but this is the last game of the weekend. Your reflections on the weekend as a whole. Have you enjoyed the rugby you've seen? Has there been any sort of standout moments for you across the weekend?
I think it's been a really good weekend. I'm just trying to recollect back over all the games that I've watched, and I've watched so many. Friday night started with Bath against London Irish. Bath won that one. London Irish you felt run out of steam in that one. To be honest, being totally honest, I'm trying a load of crap right now because I don't even remember the game on that one. It's been so many games. But then on Saturday, we had some absolute belters. I think, the game that stood out to me was Leinster against Exeter. I think the quality of that, I think you'd have to say that's probably at international standard, that game was. Interesting refereeing decisions in that, but we won't get into that too much. But I thought the intensity of that was absolutely incredible. And Leinster, people have questioned them over the past year, having lost in the Pro 14, although only losing twice. I don't know if you know, though, they did lose against the Ospreys. So just making sure that people know that.
They never did. Are you joking?
I didn't know if people were aware of that, but Ospreys did beat them, and we did go with a really young team, and we did manage to beat them. But that's by the by, that's not all that important. But we did beat them, just so I put that out there. But then, La Rochelle, if I'm being totally honest, quite naive about how they played, about what they bring. Watched them the week before against Gloucester, very impressed. Against Sales, they absolutely blew them away in the second half. Then in the Challenge Cup, Benetton gave a really good account of themselves against Montpellier. They've had a really tough season, but they did really, really well. Ulster Northampton was a really good game, but discipline was massive for Northampton. And then Leicester were just way too strong for Newcastle. So on the whole, it's been a really good weekend of rugby. Today's not been the greatest, but hopefully the second half really kicks on now. We see some good rugby and the teams begin to open up, but we've seen some good rugby this weekend. But I'd have to say Exeter against Leinster is my pick of the bunch.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that game. I think just because of it had absolutely everything you could want. It had an electric start. It had two teams that were really battling for every single inch of the pitch that they were going for. It had a superb comeback from Leinster, and then obviously a really professional way to edge that game out at the end. So have a look at a couple more comments. Yesterday was a difficult day to follow, and I hear today has been more than disappointing. Definitely has been disappointing today. Yesterday, I think, was some of the best rugby we've seen in the tournament so far. Freddie, it's been a bad day today. Really has been a slow one today. Rugby Geeks, are there socials to follow as well as the channel? So, there is the channel over on YouTube. So if you are looking for the channel over on YouTube, it is Ruck and Roll Rugby. And the same name as well over on Facebook at the moment. They are the two social platforms that we're working from at the moment as we push towards some more subscribers. I'm not sure what I'm on at the minute. I know it's a massive amount of probably about, I think it was 12 the last time I looked. But do head over there, guys. This is something that I've started doing. Been really, really interested in following rugby for a long, long time now, and always thought a lot about the game as well. So it's nice to have the opportunity to use a platform like this to start talking about the stuff that I love and the stuff that I'm interested in so much, and to do it with great friends like Brandon and loads of the other guys that have come across as well. Oh, now we're rolling in the money. 15 subs now. Oh, I tell you what, I'm going to be dining on caviar in my Lamborghini before long, Brandon. I can see it coming now. But yeah, like I said, guys, with the 3bod Rugby Group as well, okay, there is the Facebook link there. Do head across and give them a follow. We are on YouTube as well. I'll drop that in again later on as well. But go there. That's where everything you need will be. Posting regularly and doing shows once a month. For us, usually at the start of the month. So stay tuned for that. Because like we said, we've got lots and lots coming up. The second half is just about to start. The sides are back out. They've dried off. They've had a little chat with themselves and thought, what can we do in this second half to make it remotely more interesting than the first half was? And let's hope that we are in for a better second half. Clermont to kick off, playing from right to left in this second half. let's just hope. Fingers crossed we're in for a better second half. So it's Tim Nanai Williams after Luke Pearce gets the game underway, and he kicks deep just outside the 22. Bit of blocking there for me. Yato was really good. Yeah, I was just going to say, Yato was definitely going to take that ball then, but one of the second rows bumped him off it big time.
Stupid penalty to give away right at the start there. Really stupid penalty. So unnecessary.
Yeah, like you said, right at the start of the second half as well. This is an easy chance now for points. And again, yeah, hope it's not like the last game either, Sean, because it's turning into a little bit of a kick fest. But yeah, it's that's Farmer Wiener there. That's so stupid. Like, you know, we talked about this at the start of the game as well, in terms of there is a line that you have to draw. There's a line between the referees giving harsh calls, and there's a line there where you've got your own responsibility to play the game within the laws. I know that it's not a cynical thing, and it is just a stupid thing. It is a proper brain fart moment where you just think, oh, I'll nudge him off the ball by here now so that our boys can claim it. But especially when you're playing at the top level, you cannot get away with that. And it's given Para this opportunity out on the left-hand side to take Clermont into the lead, and he has taken that opportunity well. So, let's change that. So it is now 9 points to 6 in favour of the home side. That's perfect. That's exactly the start they would have wanted, Brandon, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. When you start again, when you come off from the kickoff, you want an easy, safe exit. You go through a couple of phases, set it up ready for the scrum half to either box kick or set it up for the scrum half to pass it back to the fly half to clear. It's just a stupid moment, not the way you want to start the second half. And I said, I backed Toulouse to win this one by 3 to 5 points. It's really close. And that could be a big moment in the game. Really stupid penalty to give away. We said the French have this ability to implode and have moments of stupidity. Well, that's right there.
Yeah, a little bit wayward with the box kick from Para there. Seemed to get a lot of height, but not a great deal of distance. And it's given this attacking opportunity to Toulouse. And there's a lovely little kick across the ground. Ches and Colby putting the ball deep into the Clermont 22, making them play out. With a kicking game like that, that's exactly the thing you want to be doing, is just trying to keep that side back, because that's the last thing you want to do is give the platform to the back three that Clermont have. But a lovely little strike there just to tuck Toulouse into the 22. And they will put pressure on, because I think the line out for both sides has been a little shaky in this game. So will they compete? And, have they got that? Oh, no, they've just got away with it. So Fritz Lee comes away with the ball here and sets up just inside the 22. I think for Clermont here, it'll be nothing silly. Just try and get rid of the ball. Parrot, a couple of steps, and a lovely box kick. Is it in touch? Yeah, lovely kick.
That's a really good kick, really good clearance kick there. One thing I noticed about Toulouse, one thing they like to do a lot is when they do go into contact, they do tend to go into contact, and straight away, once they get hit in the contact, they turn around and release it to Dupont. That's a brilliant way of rolling defenders in. And I don't think it's something we see much in the Pro 14, is it, at all?
No.
Where they go in the contact. It's always go in the contact. There's a massive battle at the breakdown. But their idea is about, right, let's see, can we get Dupont on the ball as much as possible? Can we speed the game up as much as possible? It's
almost like a layup in volleyball, isn't it? It's almost as if they lift the ball up to him so that he hasn't got to go digging on the base, and there's not that risk. Antamak, there's a chance of a break here. Para's really done well to intercept that there. And Clermont could look to go from deep here. Moala snaking his way around. He did have Penno on the outside there. Thought he might have used him. But they set up just outside the 22 and they look to play. Matsushima says, no, not having any of that, and puts in a huge boot just inside the Toulouse half. Ches and Colby looking for that opportunity to attack. He's just been smashed by the prop there. That has to be a high tackle.
Round the neck, that.
That is. But it's one of those things. Colby is one of these extremely difficult players to put down. And it doesn't matter how low you go. He's probably lower. A nice little chance for Dupont there on the outside. The offloads to Arnold. For me, that was an accidental offside there. But lovely to see some rugby being played. Good stuff.
Now, a little bit beginning to open up, and this is what we were hoping for. I'm surprised they didn't look at that tackle. Like, there's even an advantage.
Yeah, I think they might have a little look at it now that they've got a little break in play. But that, Untermack with the break on the far right and with Dupont just then, it just shows what these players can do. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and that was lovely rugby there. But yeah, be interested to see that contact there from the loose head for Clermont, because it's across the chest, it is, but it does slide up slightly. But for me, it's just a big. It's just a big hit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, he does land on him with some force, mind. But yeah, look, so we see the replays of Untermack, sliding through there like his dad used to. Yeah. Really, really nice play there. And Para did really well, using all his experience to intercept that ball there, to get rid of it as soon as possible. But a far better start to the second half. Let's have a little look at what's going on down in the comment section. The rugby might be a bit poor, but the wife has just come in clutch with a packet of nerds. Haven't seen these for years. I don't think I've ever had nerds.
Neither have I. I think you're a bit too old for us rugby geeks there.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever. I think I've probably seen them, but what are they? Are they sweets? Or they? I don't really know. Nerds. Sean did not know a brain's fart. Trust me, when you see some of these things these rugby players do, it is definitely down to a brain fart. Robert, even Cheslin Colby's kick into the corners, great kick, but that's how this game is going to be, and I got to agree with you. Matsushima making a small break there. We'll come back to the comments in just a second. Lovely little break from Matsushima there as he tries to take Clermont out of their own half, and they haven't really moved from their own half in the second half so far. A knock on there.
Definitely sped up here. But again, the ball out a lot quicker here, looking to throw it about, which is good.
I think it's come hand in hand with the fact that it seems that the rain seems to have eased, and I think the sides are more confident now to put the ball out in front of players and to make these little breaks, because like you saw with Matsushima there, his first instinct wasn't to kick in that instance, even though he's in his 22. He's looking to run and he's looking to attack. But again, a handling error in the midfield from the loose head prop, and it's easy attacking ball for Toulouse. Yeah. You've got to say, near enough a centre field scrum, perfect opportunity to launch for Toulouse now.
But yeah, already a bit more open in this second half. Maybe the coach's message was take a few more risks, try a few more different bits, see what you can do.
Yeah.
Colby standing behind Untermack, so winger standing right behind the fly half. Interesting to see what the play is here.
I've seen a couple of those this weekend. The one, it was in the... I think it was in the game Friday night. I think it was Bath against London Irish. And for one phase, London Irish at the scrum, they lined up with all of their players stood within like a 5-meter gap. They were literally stood shoulder to shoulder. And I think sometimes you need that because defenses are so well set and so well organised that you need a little bit of creativity and a penalty at the scrum to Toulouse. So a chance for them to equalise here. Johan Uge is doing a Josh Adams over on the wing. He's got his arm up ready for the crossfield kick. Don't know if it's going to come to him though. He's lurking with intent. But a chance here for Toulouse to equal up the game, and again another chance for a kick.
Yeah, going for the post here. Right decision in my opinion. I actually think the rain has stopped completely.
So it looks that way,
which is really good. But
hopefully provide some more attacking rugby in the second half. We've seen a little bit so far, but again, Clermont, it looks as though they're doing it a lot from their own territory. And we talked about this before the game started. That top 14 sides don't usually do that. It's usually the case that if it's on, they'll play it, but if they're like in a position where they seem to be in a lot of trouble, they will get rid of it. Untermack lines it up, and that's straight down the middle. So we are all square again, 9 points apiece. Oh, it's not one for the purists. This is it.
But it's going to be close all the way. We thought it was going to be close, and it has opened up a little bit. I do think though the discipline is going to be massive in this. I think discipline is going to be huge in this game, and players need to keep their heads. And maybe that's where Clermont have the upper hand with the experience. You'd say, maybe. And I think the big thing for Clermont is that they usually at this stage of the tournament, year in, year out, so they've got that experience of what they need to do.
like we said, they haven't managed to win the tournament, but they certainly get into a stage where it's got to happen at some point.
Yeah.
A penalty awarded to Toulouse. I'm not really sure what for.
No, neither am I.
I think he's trying to say that he took out. I'm trying to think. I think they might have taken someone out who was competing for the ball. But Antamaki doesn't fancy this one, so they are going to dig it down into the 22 by the looks of things.
Doesn't have the boots of Jalibert, clearly. Yeah, the kick that was. I was so glad he nailed it. I was thinking, oh my God.
But you know what? After I think it was Sean's comment, I think I'm going to go across and call him Jelly Baby now. Mathieu Jelly Baby. But yeah, what was it? Yeah, it was a block. It was the hooker for Clermont. He's come across there and he's blocked the loose head off. And again, that's one of those things you're never going to get away with because, and as much as I hate it, players are always going to protest that. Players are always going to say, "Look, he's cut me off there."
Yeah.
But Toulouse scruffily they win the ball and they launch their attack, and it's a lovely opportunity there as they go slightly deeper. And here come the reinforcements. Here comes Marchand round the corner, and now they go to the power game. Dupont looking for those opportunities. Is it going to be an opportunity out wide here? Colby. God, he's so elusive, isn't he? You cannot put the man down. He's always back up straight away. You've almost got to put about 4 men on him.
Yeah. Injury for Clermont, though. Is it Nanai Williams who's down? Might be. Oh, he's back up.
I was just going to say, if it is Nanai Williams, that's a big problem. Lovely offload there. But the thing is, looking at that, then he makes a lovely offload, and there's all forwards out on the left-hand side. There's no backs there. Good rip from Fofana there. But has it been turned over again? Oh, he's given us a knock on. Really lovely bit of play there from Toulouse. They really started to string some stuff together. But again, it was that thing that they all of a sudden they seemed to run out of ideas, and there was forwards in the back line, and it's you don't usually see that from French sides. It's usually the thing that they're able to match sides in terms of, well, if they're going to do this, we'll try and do this instead. But it looked like they ran out of ideas there. But some really, really powerful carrying, some really good phase play starting to be built up. More than we saw in the first half anyway. So for those of you that are saying, I don't know what he's talking about, it's definitely better than we had in the first half. But we are just over 10 minutes into the second half now.
I think Toulouse would be pretty happy with how they started this second half. The only problem there with that attack, again, was that it was just forwards, and the attack was so narrow. And when you're not winning that physical battle, it's going wide doesn't do anything for you.
No.
It really doesn't do anything for you because you're just going to keep going across and across and across, and it's not going to do anything.
That's a fantastic clearance from Matsushima. I've been really impressed with it.
Yeah,
because he has looked to attack when the chances come. But, wow. Clermont looking to unload 4 of the bench here. I think there's four guys waiting to come on. What does that suggest to you, Brandon? 4 subs looking to come on in one big crack.
4 big boys as well coming on. I mean, half an hour to go. Toulouse maybe beginning to get some dominance in this one.
Yeah, you would say so.
It's going to be interesting to see what impact they can have again. I think
and that's another penalty. Yeah, another penalty again. So
those need to have a word here because
I was just going to say
bounce. And Tao Fufueno once again.
Vamahina, you mean?
Vamahina, sorry.
You just love saying his name, mate. Don't know. You just absolutely love it.
I can do it. Some of the names I've had before.
I can do it. It was me. I did it.
Who's the best player in the world? Tao Fufueno. Why? Because I can say his name. I'm just
going to say his name. But yeah, so I wonder if they'll actually tell us in this game, because in the last game they made 4 subs and we didn't know who one of them was.
No.
But yeah, I would say Toulouse start to seem like they're in the ascendancy now. Yeah. And in return, Toulouse have brought some players on of their own as well. Let's have a little quick look at some of the comments. Quite quite a few I've missed out on you. Go for the corner instead of the points. I'd love to see sides do that more often. Freddie, 130 minutes, 0 tries. Wow. Wow, too old. That cuts deep. Let me just reach you on my back and get that knife out for you. Absolutely brutal. Rugby, take that back. I love those sweets. Oh, okay. So Richard Hoorie, he's in the chat. Good to see you, Richard. There's a club coming together now. The nerd. Well, you can't really say that. Rugby Geeks is a fan of nerds. That's a lovely synonym there. But Antoine Dupont looking to attack here, unloads to Marchand. Lovely speed on the play. And again, that ruck ball, that's got to be well under 2 seconds, that ruck speed.
Yeah, it's literally out players and a half there. It's just out so quickly. Clermont are not really competing at the breakdown now. That's a knock-on. Yeah,
I was just going to say that is a knock-on. And I don't know whether it's a knock-on advantage or whether he's actually signalled that as a deliberate knock-on. But there's no overlap here on the right-hand side. Shezan Colby cuts back inside.
Oh, why are you going that way?
Yeah. Peter Aki with a ball in hand. He's spinning around like a ballerina.
Oh.
Slow down a little bit for you now. But lovely offload. And Dupont tried a little kick there. I don't think that they're going to go back for the advantage. I think he said advantage was over. Yeah. So we are back to square one. And I think it's going to be a line out to Clermont just outside the 22 here. Oof. He is committed to that. They're looking at a potential late hit here. But for me, Yato is always going to make that tackle. He's started to move in for it.
The only problem with it is, has he wrapped?
Yeah. So good to see 14 of you in the chat. Lovely to see you all, guys. And if you haven't done so already, please head across to the YouTube and the Facebook. If you're on Facebook, watching through Facebook, then make sure you like and follow the page. Usually there'll be a post that comes out to let you know when videos are going up or when live watch-alongs will be going up. But the main place where it's all happening is over on YouTube. So make sure that if you are watching on YouTube, that you have liked the stream and that you have dropped a subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to do so. And it's really, really helpful and lets me know that you're enjoying what you're seeing. So as Luke Pierce here, he's looking
at the ability to pull out.
Yeah. But again, it would always seem that way if he's got a chance to pull away when you're watching it in slow motion, then fair enough. But for me, if you look at when the pass is released, he's already started to lean in towards the tackle. Yeah. So I just...
He does actually wrap with his left arm as well. I think it's a pen, maybe, but nothing more.
But again, another contentious issue where, he's looking at it, but, we've taken a chunk out of the game. The game is slowing down. I think he's just going to give a penalty for a late hit. But for me, I don't even think it was that. I think that is very harsh. And Roman Ntamak comes across with the kicking tee ready to try and put Toulouse into the lead. So, again, a little bit more going on in the second half, but it's definitely got to the point now where sides are looking to exploit tired defenses, and perhaps that's why Clermont have unloaded their bench early to try and stem that Toulouse onslaught. But fair play to Ntamak. He really has, he missed those 2 early kicks. He made that mistake when he gave away the penalty, but he has really brought himself back together in the second half so far anyway. And he is moving on to take this penalty kick now. And again, it is over. So Toulouse take the lead for the first time in the second half as they take a lead of 12 points to 9. Still no tries, Brandon, but definitely some better rugby being played.
Yeah, very much so. I've actually really, I wouldn't say enjoyed, but no, it's been much better this second half. And Toulouse definitely have up the tempo, sped the game up. The ruck speed, I've been really impressed by them in that area as well. That's a really poor... Toulouse do have the ball. But no, I've been impressed. Still, though, we're not really seeing the flow of the game quite at what we want it to be, as Clermont win a good penalty there out of the breakdown. And I don't know, I still feel like there's going to be a moment in this game that changes the game for either side.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. I think that we're still, and there we go. Nana Williams is with the ball there, and then the experienced head of Para comes over and goes, "No, mate, we're in a cup quarter final. We're taking the points." Or I'm having a go at the points anyway. But that's an absolutely brutal turnover there. When referees say that they're looking for a clear lift on the ball, I don't think he means you've got to lift the man up off the floor as well. He's literally picked him up by the waist there. Absolute machine.
Had any chance of getting to ground there, did he?
No. Fair play. But Para, the experienced head, lining this one up. Oh, he had the referee as well then. He walked over to adjust the ball. So, are we going to see Clermont level the game up here? It's a lovely strike. Maybe a little short. Oh, what a judge that just to perfection. So
beautiful.
With another successful penalty, Clermont tie the game up again. 12 points apiece. It's not a classic, but it's certainly starting to hot up now with just over 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look if we've got anything that I've missed over in the comments, just to see if Rugby Geeks is okay, because I think Brandon has really upset him now. Yeah, he's definitely upset him here. I can remember when chomps were 10p. God, in the next 10 years, it'll be about 40.
What was it? Freddos were 10p, and now they're like, what, nearly £1, I think?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, Rugby Geeks hasn't forgiven you, Brandon. Judging by the age bracket you've penned me in, perhaps I should move on to Werther's Originals.
Nothing wrong with Werther's Originals. They are very
just going to say, that is a banging sweet. That is. Absolutely love those. It's a penalty. He drops him. I think he was lucky to get away with just a penalty. I personally thought that it wasn't even that. But if it is a penalty, you've got to be looking towards whether he gives a card to go with it as well. Clermont looking to go from deep here. Fofana putting a pretty ugly kick across the floor, but it does get them a little bit of territory, which you've got to say they've really lacked in the second half so far. Oh, Matsushima makes his first big mistake of the second half by dropping it. And yeah, definitely. Sean O'Farrell, it feels like a boxing match. Absolutely. I think each side is sort of, one side is throwing a punch and then the other is countering. But Clermont will be really worried here. They can't seem to get any prolonged periods of possession in the Toulouse half. And Toulouse now, they've been down in this half of the field for, you've got to say, probably the last 10, 15 minutes now, and really starting to build some pressure. But like in the last game, they've got to now turn it into points. Oh, Rugby Geeks, you've broken my heart here, mate. Sounds like a Saracens Leicester final script. No rugby, just a penalty shootout in the game back in '96 when I was 8. You can't say penalty shootout. If you're talking about rugby, mate, you cannot use the word penalty shootout when you're talking to a Blues fan, because I still haven't got over that.
What happened to Martin Williams? I don't know why I'm mentioning him, but there you go.
Yeah, Martin Williams. But the thing that made me laugh is in the build up to it, Tom James, he's quite a local lad living where I am. He used to play for the Village, just probably about 10, 15 minutes up the road from me. And there was a sevens event, and he was up there and he was saying that he was a big fan of kicking. He was looking to try and do it a little bit more for the Blues, and he'd been practicing with Neil Jenkins, because at the time he was on the borderline again into the Welsh squad.
Yeah.
A fortnight later, he's playing down in the Principality, a chance to put us into the final. It would have been, to put us into the final of the Heineken Cup, and he absolutely spooned it. Freddie, I don't know if I can allow you this. Yeah, what a great day! It was a great day. I really enjoyed my day out. I think I cried on the train all the way home, though. I was only 7. Gosh, hang on, how old would I have been? It was in 2009. So what are we talking? 11 years ago. So I would have been 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, No, I feel old. I'm going to go in Rugby Geeks category now. I'm going to get my Werther's Original and my slippers out. But in that meantime, whilst I'm talking absolute drivel again, Toulouse have taken the lead by a Roman Ntamack penalty. And we are now 15 points to 12 with just under 20 minutes to go. And a guy has just come on at hooker for Toulouse with a rather interesting hairstyle. I think I might go for that myself. Mo Vaca. I'm going to go for a Mo Vaca, please. I'm going to go into the barbers next week and ask for one of those. And another penalty. These short kickoffs for Clermont are not working. And considering the lack of time they've spent in the Toulouse half, this second half, you'd have thought that the last thing they'd want to be doing is kicking it short, kicking as deep as you can and just try and put some pressure on. Because that's 2 kickoffs now that have gone absolute Pete Tong for them.
Yeah.
I do realise for anybody that's not Welsh now, I sound, have they kept it in? Yeah, well done, Matsushima. He keeps that penalty kick in. But again, Toulouse will probably love this because the gain is not a lot. He's probably just about taking them outside the 22. So overall, still a net gain for Toulouse. But sorry, Brandon, I completely cut you off then. What were we going to say?
No. I think Clermont, though, they don't need to feel like they need to start chasing this game yet. No. But what would really help the game out is if Toulouse got a try, it'd mean Clermont would really have to start coming and playing. Yeah. At the minute, both teams are very tentative. They don't want to give anything silly away. But if Toulouse were to get a try, I really think that Clermont then would have to start playing. Advantage to Clermont just outside the 22 here.
It's another penalty, and you've got to say...
Start thinking about a yellow card at some point.
Oh, it's a lovely chip. Watch the bounce of the ball. Oh, Raka's done superbly with that, obviously, but playing under advantage. But like we were talking earlier on, that sort of that French flair then, Ntamack could see that all his outside attacking options were sort of coming up flat with him. So why not try the kick in behind and see if you can get any change out of the blitz defence? So, yeah, but again, I don't know what that one was for. Oh, he's taking the man in the air there. So... another chance for Toulouse to go further ahead. And you've got to say, 6 points clear with the majority of the ball, majority of the possession. Toulouse are now starting to move towards being favourite for this game.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think you've got to take the points. Again, it's cup rugby, isn't it? They don't need a bonus point. Doesn't matter about that. And take the points when you get the opportunity. But Clermont really shooting themselves in the foot in this one. And Toulouse are just... whenever Toulouse seems to put pressure on this Clermont side, they seem to just cave in and give away stupid penalties.
Yeah. So, just outside the 22, Ntamack gets another chance to push Toulouse even further ahead. And you've got to say for Clermont now, from this restart, for goodness sake, get it deep in the 22 and actually put some pressure on.
Maybe it's hard, but, you know... even if their exit is poor, it doesn't. Even if their exit is good, they're not going to get much further than the halfway line, so it doesn't really matter.
No, absolutely. And like you said there, then it's like with most sides now, it's when with their exit strategy, they're almost looking just to get it off the field, just to have a chance to reset. Yeah, they do put this kick a little deeper, and Ntamack bobbles it, but he takes it really, really well considering, and he's actually. Made it just outside the 22 now, so they can't go directly to touch. So this will definitely be a kick to compete. With Dupont putting a lovely box kick in there. My gosh, that's gone from 22 to 22 almost. What a kick. Tim Nane-Williams returns with a lovely high hanging ball. Matsushima in pursuit. Ntamack has dropped it, and Matsushima's picked it up. Matsushima's in space. He's going up the touchline.
You gonna get there?
Oh, that was
by Colby in the end.
2 of the best steppers in the top 14. They're going up against each other, and Matsushima against Cheslin Colby. You've got to say Colby's done superbly well there. He's just squared him up, and he's done a superb job to shepherd him there. But finally, this game is starting to come to life.
Matsushima there just runs straight at him. He doesn't even try to beat him, but he actually hits Colby really hard. But Colby actually did really well to bring him down. And the second tackle from Dupont there as well.
Now,
great line out.
Great lineup, but for me, this is starting to really annoy me now because this happened in the Leinster game yesterday, right? So when teams go for these long lineouts where they throw completely over the line and they just try to pin it as far as they can in towards the middle of the pitch, at that point, they just completely give up on the premise that the ball has to be thrown straight. Because if you watch the one against, I think it was, oh, I get it right now. I think it was Yendel.
Yeah.
I think it was Yendel that came on for ex-Chiefs. He threw one, and it must have been about 5 or 6 meters the wrong way. But Takori has just come on now for Toulouse, a stalwart of this Toulouse side. I remember watching him play down in Cardiff once, and my God, the bloke is enormous. Really, really is a big man. But Toulouse looking to get some attacking going from their own half. Moala competing at the breakdown, and yeah, that's great there. Great pressure from Jederiak. Jezudiak. I don't even think that's an overly French name. I just think it's got some letters in there that don't need to be there.
I don't know why Toulouse just don't get the ball out there. Why DuPont just stands and watches it. Just get the ball out.
Yeah.
But not long still left in this now.
You've got it, like you said, it's not press the panic button time yet for Clermont, but they've got to start to think we need to start playing some rugby and putting some pressure on deep in the Toulouse half. So do they go to the kicking game? Raka with a lovely little step there. And, he's almost through there. He's such an elusive runner. And I don't know why he hasn't been used more by the French team, because for me, he's probably one of the most exciting wingers in Europe. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't always do it. But I remember watching him play a game, I think it was against the Ospreys, and he ran about 4 tries in from his own half. He's just so powerful. But Matsushima taking the ball up the 15-meter channel here. Across to Vamaina. Keep your elbows down, son. Oh, lovely offload back to Lara. And it's a knock-on in the midfield against he. And this is the problem you get where you're trying to over-dominate the defence by putting forwards out in the attacking line when the forwards are struggling to handle the ball. But Colby's just kicked that straight out on the full. They'll go back to the scrum, I'd imagine, for the knock-on. So Clermont's starting to show intent, but really starting to make some really costly mistakes in Toulouse territory. Let's have a little look at what your comments are saying. I think Rugby Geeks is still very, very upset. Oh, there we go. Sean O'Farrell talking about the Cardiff-Leicester final. First time I seen a penalty shootout. To my knowledge, I don't think there's been one since either. I think that was the one and only. 15, let me fit you up with a Zimmer frame. It feels like the kind of game World Rugby is trying to move away from. Bruises and concussions all round and no tries in sight. I've got to agree. I think that comment there from you, Robert, I think it perfectly sums this game up. Not enough attacking, not enough chances being taken by the teams. But like we said, this is Cup Rugby and teams just want to go out to win. And Rugby Geeks agreeing with Robert there. World Rugby will start to tighten up on the breakdown to encourage more ball in hand. Be interested to see if that happens. Lineout's never been straight in the pro game, same as feeding in the scrum. They did start to try and tighten up on the feeding in the scrum for a while, but it seems that's gone.
They've given up now.
Who has the ball? It is a scrum to Toulouse, roughly in the middle of the pitch, probably about 5 meters away from halfway, Kev. The problem with Raka is he misses so many tackles. I think that's one of the big problems you get with modern wingers nowadays is that they're fantastic in attack, but you need, especially with a modern winger, you need the ability to be able to attack and defend. So Toulouse secure their scrum ball here, and they launch an attack through Untamak. Ball goes out in the centre to Peter Aki. I keep forgetting his name. Peter Aki with the ball there. Untamak drops back, puts a lovely high ball up. Really is going to test Penno here, and he gets absolutely dominated in the air. But I think it is a knock-on from Labelle, and Clermont can play their way out of trouble here if they wish. Varmina takes the ball into contact just inside the Clermont 22. Nane Williams decides enough is enough. Is that gone off the field? Just about. Will Colby play it? No. So play is set up here. We're looking at a Toulouse line out just inside, and I mean literally just inside the Clermont half. So on comes Bezzy. He's coming on for Fofana, which is interesting. The scrum half replacement coming on at centre. I'd assume that's down to an injury to Fofana as opposed to a tactical change.
Big fan of Fofana. Didn't really ever live up to the expectation, did he? Like with France. I remember he played one game against England. It might have been his debut or one of his first few games, and he was absolutely unreal in that game alongside Gael Fickou.
Yeah.
Two played in the centre together. Seems like Fickou's really cracked on, and Fofana hasn't. What a driving maul this is from Toulouse.
And they've got the penalty out of it. This, for me now, if they get this penalty over, I think now Clermont need to start pressing the panic button.
Yeah.
Because this game is going to get away from them. They're not playing anywhere near enough of the game in the Toulouse half, and they're really starting to turn the screw. And you've got to say their pack is really starting to dominate now, considering the amount of fresh players that Clermont brought on probably about 15, 20 minutes ago now. They're really starting to struggle in terms of managing the maul defence anyway. But Ntamack will line this one up. Just a couple more of your comments quickly as he lines this one up. Good example is James Lowe. I put a lovely comment in your chat last night, Brandon. I wanted you to read it out, but I think you were so heated in debate, I think you skipped over it. I said, for me, James Lowe couldn't tackle a 10-piece jigsaw, never mind be a meaningful defender. Recently, scrum halves have virtually put the ball in straight to the flanker. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think because there's so much controversy at the referee and at the scrum now, because half of the time we spend probably a quarter of all games resetting scrums. I think the referees are just happy for the ball to be out. But Ntamack strikes it lovely and is straight down the middle. So that takes them to 21 points to 12 up, a 9-point lead. 2 scores in it, Brandon. Can Clermont do it?
On the basis of what we've seen so far, I'd say no, but they haven't had a reason to go full gung-ho, and now they've got to. They've got to go for it now, and that's going to open spaces for Toulouse. But Toulouse's territorial game today has been brilliant, and that's where Clermont have really failed in that area. They've just not controlled territory at all. They've not played in the right areas. Like Colby there clearing. No fuss, nothing like that. Just get rid of it, get it down the field.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And lovely high ball put up from Matsushima. Fair play to Ntamack. He's taken that so well. I think that's going to be called as a tackle.
Yeah, he's down.
Yeah, Luke Pearce has given the scrum to Toulouse. Yeah, he wasn't quite a maul there, so had to go with that option there. Yeah. But again, like you said, it's getting to that stage now where Clermont just can't get a foothold in this game because they can't get the ball in the right areas of the pitch. And I can't remember the last time I saw Clermont, such a good attacking side, struggle so much. Look at that penalty count. My gosh, 17 penalties for Clermont to Toulouse's 9. That's the question you've got to be asking. I know that the penalties have been a little more spaced out than they were in the Racing game, but at the same time, the penalty count is so high.
Yeah.
Discipline has been a real issue across both games today. Nice solid scrum here, or is it? Toulouse seem to be having a little wheel on that scrum there. I think we'll just reset this one. I think both sides were to blame for that one. So it's again another scrum reset.
And more time off the clock for Toulouse.
Yeah, 5 minutes to go now, and you've got to start thinking now for Clermont. They've got to get this game moving.
If I'm Toulouse here, you win the scrum here, you go through a few phases, you clear it down into their 22, make it a hard exit for them and go from there.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Absolutely. So we pack down again as we just go into the 75th minute of this game. Toulouse with a put-in.
Realistically, Clermont need to win a penalty out this scrum.
Yeah. Just to try and get some field position. They've had no field position whatsoever. But a nice... Dupont's dropped that at the base, I think, and he wasn't under any real pressure there. I think that's the first time I've seen him make a silly mistake like that in a long, long time. but he gifts the ball to Clermont here.
Great chance for them here. They've got to go for something here now. Clermont have been gifted an opportunity.
Yeah, he's tried to pick the ball up over the player's foot and caught his heel. It's nothing. The player can do nothing wrong. At the end of the day, he's trying to push that scrum further forward. So, yeah, we are going into the latter stages of this game. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, guys. 11 of you currently watching. And it's lovely to see you all come over and join for the first live watch along that I've done over on Rock and Roll Rugby. So if it is the first time you've come across and you like what you see, then make sure to give the stream a like and to drop a subscription. It doesn't cost you anything, but it means a lot to myself. And we'll be doing a lot more stuff like this, especially with the rugby calendar as full as it is over the next couple of months. So make sure you subscribe and you stay in tune for what's coming in the weeks to come. But back to this game now. Clermont have launched an attack and they've got a penalty just out. No, I think that's penalty just outside the 22. They've got to go to the corner now. Surely it's panic button, big red panic button time.
Yeah, they got to go to corner here now, and
he's going to the posts.
3 posts though, and then they get the ball back. They're going to have to go the length of the field. You can't waste time on this kick.
For me, that's a really poor decision, considering how little opportunities Clermont have had to score tries. They've turned down an opportunity to really pump the ball deep into the Toulouse 22 and cause them some problems at line-out. But they've chosen the penalty in the hope they score a try, even though they haven't all game. And he's missed it. So that is a double. That's a double mistake there. Wow.
That's probably the game now. You'd have to say that opportunity. They were given a lifeline from Dupont.
That's it now. And I think he knows it as well, Para. He knows he's scuffed it, but I think in his head he knows now with just over 2 minutes left on the clock. I think he knows that this game is starting to become a little bit too out of reach for them. Some of the Toulouse boys trying to kill a few seconds here with a bit of the old magic spray on the legs just to fix any bumps or niggles that they've had.
So 2.5 minutes-ish, just under 2.5 minutes. I mean, Clermont's going to have to do something ridiculous from here. They're going to have to score, and
they're literally going to have to score within the next minute or so to even have a chance of getting back down the other end to get a penalty or a drop goal or something. So,
but again, if you're Toulouse here, you don't compete. Oh, was that high from Dupont?
I was just going to say, I thought that might have been a little high. But again, look at the options that Clermont have got versus the amount of defenders that are in front of them. It just seems that they're going to go back and forth here. And I think for me now, we've just gone into the final 2 minutes. I think for me, this is all over as a contest now. I think the only thing that Clermont can do now is just bring it a little closer, because it has been a close game. But I think this second half, Toulouse have just shown that little bit more in terms of their tactical awareness in this game. But it generally does look as though, Brandon, we're going to have done 2 games today and we haven't seen 1 try.
You've got to say as well that it's very similar to the Bordeaux Racing game. Clermont have not done enough going forward.
Oh, and that's it. Fritz Lee, sorry, buddy. Fritz Lee's knocked it on, and that, for me, is the game.
Yeah, 100%. And, as I was just saying there, Clermont haven't done enough. They've not tried enough. They've not risked enough. Toulouse haven't done all that much more, but they haven't had to. And you got to say, in a game, you'd rather finish a game and say, okay, we gave it a go, we tried things, but for Racing and for Clermont today, they simply have not tried enough. They've not tried enough attacking-wise to create anything.
Yeah, and you've pretty much hit the nail on the head there, buddy. It's just been not enough. Too little, too late, and... they've taken Dupont off now. I always hate it when they do that. Bring players off the bench for a matter of a minute.
Yeah.
Not really fair. It's not like an international game where it doesn't really make a difference. As long as you're on the pitch, you get yourself a cap. We'll come to your comments now, guys. Just going to see how this one finishes out. And then we'll do a quick roundup of your comments and a quick summary before we go off. But, it's been good to have Brandon on today, and it's been good to have your company to watch these games, buddy, because... quite frankly, I think we're both a little bit disappointed how these games have turned out today, considering how good the games were yesterday. Yeah. But that's rugby. That's the game that we love and the game that we love watching. Pardon, buddy?
Unspax kicked the ball away.
I don't know why he's done that. Raka, and that's Toulouse ball. Yeah. Chaz and Colby in space. That's the last thing you want.
Go on, Colby. Do something.
Go on the outside. And are we going to get it? He's knocked it. Again.
Oh, my gosh.
For goodness sake, we were denied a try at the end of the last game, and we've just been denied a try at the end of this game as well.
Rugby Geeks' latest comment says, "What an advert for top 14." I think that just summarizes it up right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? Somebody said in one of your chats yesterday, perhaps, that a video that I could look at is Gallagher Premiership versus top 14, and certainly from this performance, it would be an interesting one to do because, and with that, the final whistle blows. Toulouse are victorious, 21 points to 12, and they will progress to the semi-finals, with the draw being taken place in just over 10 minutes over on BT Sport. Not a great game, you've got to say, but Toulouse did enough in the end just to see them across the line. Let's have a quick look through. Let's have a look through the comments. Who's saying James Lowe is any good? Get them clover-tinted specs off. Ireland would be better off throwing a damn squid on the pitch. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Robert. Clermont's still taking the 3. Wow, and now he's missed it. That was just a big thing. Thanks for joining us, Martin. I know he was later on in the game, buddy, but really grateful for you coming across anyway. What an advert for the top 14. Oh, my berry. Or the updated version. What an advert for top 14 rugby. Oh, my frog's legs. Of course, we dropped it. We're just not allowed to try today. I think that's what it was in the end. Just not allowed to try. Not happening. So close to the try line, just not enough to finish it off in the end. And 0 tries in 160 minutes of rugby. What did we ever do wrong to deserve that, buddy? Kevin Fitz, what were my opinions on Dan Biggar? If you'd have asked me about 12 months ago, I'd have said I think he's absolutely dreadful. Don't understand why he's in the Welsh setup. Don't understand what he adds. However, I think especially in the last 6 months, towards the tail end of the Autumn Nations Cup, and especially through the Six Nations, he's definitely proven his worth. I think his game has improved down at Northampton. And he recently did a podcast with the House of Rugby, I think it was, when he talked about what his opinions were on the Pro 14 versus the Gallagher Premiership. And he said that they were so far apart, he's almost had to force himself into playing a different standard, different style of rugby. But what about you, Brendan? What do you think about Dan Biggar? And what were your thoughts on that game overall? Summarise it for us.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest game of rugby, but I think Toulouse did enough to win it in the end. I do think they deserved. They tried the most to create something there. Clermont will have shot themselves in the foot, really frustrated with themselves that they didn't go for it more. I think Matsushima, our fullback, was their shining light. I think he looked pretty good. Dan Biggar, I've always been, until Stephen Jones left, when he stepped up and started taking over, I wasn't the biggest fan. But after that, I've always been a fan of his. I think he's developed his game recently as well, a little bit more attack-minded. I think the balance between him and Sheedy works really well together. I think they look really good together as a team. So big fan of Dan Biggar, good times at the Ospreys, and just good to see that he's playing at a high level at Northampton, although a Pro 14 side did knock them out yesterday. So,
yeah, absolutely. You've got to say that on the whole, it's just been a really, really tough couple of weeks for not so much for the Premiership side. They had really, really big success. Obviously, a couple of them playing Welsh regions and battering them out. But yeah, I think it just showed, how far apart they are, because the Premiership sides that played yesterday are both out in the Champions Cup, and all the English sides in the Challenge Cup. The only ones that are still in there are Bath and Leicester. No, I might be wrong there. No, Bath, Leicester, Montpellier, and who's the last one? Bath, Montpellier, Leicester,
and
Ulster.
Ulster, yeah.
So, yeah, really, really exciting prospect. Just a thought, Brandon. Do you fancy sticking around for a couple of minutes and we'll have a little look to see what the draw is for? Because we've got, well, apparently it's been done at 5 o'clock and we've got 7 minutes before 5.
No, absolutely. Let's do it. I do desperately need a wee.
Yeah, that's fine, buddy. Yeah, I'll
for one.
No
but I'll be back and we'll watch it together and see who gets who. But I'll be back in a second. I'll just drop myself down.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. So yeah, we're just going to stick around now, just seeing as the time is what it is, and we're going to be going towards the draw for the semi-finals of the Heineken Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup as well. Just have a little look back at a couple more of the comments. Interesting one here, Rugby Geeks. Get bigger in the harbour. He flaps more than Sid the Seagull. Having said that, bigger starts for the Lions at 10. Interesting thoughts there. I personally think 10 is going to be one of the hardest positions to pick for the Lions this summer. Simply because they're good players, but I don't know who you would consider the best out of the bunch that we've got at the moment. But for Kevin Fitz, Johnny Sexton all day. I think he's past him. I'll be honest. I know Brandon disagrees with me. I think he's run his course now. He looked yesterday, at times when he played like there were times yesterday when he was back to the old Sexton, but ultimately, again, having to leave the pitch early through another injury. And it's just coming to that stage. He's got to start answering his body's calls before long because he's being absolutely battered. Ulster, thank you boys for helping me up with that one. Rugby and soccer, the only season I have YouTube, or the only reason I have YouTube. I'll be honest, mate, I'm pretty much the same. I love watching stuff like this. I watch the highlights in majority. So, yeah, absolutely. There he goes on his toes for a wee, I suppose. Could be wrong. I must admit, he could be doing... yeah, I don't want to imagine he'd be gone long because he needs to be back within the next 5 minutes to see the draw for the semis. Freddie Clark, who's my 10? I've got to say, I'm really torn on this one. I think, like I just said there, not for me personally, I don't like the fact that I think Gatland will go to Johnny Sexton because he knows that he can do the job. But I got to say, and I watched the video over on Squidge Rugby a few weeks back, where he broke down who the best 10 in the world was. Now, I don't agree he's the best 10 in the world, but I did agree with the fact that George Ford is probably one of the most tactically aware and tactically able 10s in the UK at the moment. I'd love to see him be involved, but for me, I think it's going to be Sexton to start. And I think Russell will come off the bench. However, I think Bigger will be involved and have a heavy involvement. However, the controversial part for me is that Owen Farrell, I wouldn't even take him. I'll be honest, I think he's had a really poor season. And I just don't think he's going to have the exposure to the rugby that he needs going into a Lions summer, because obviously Saracens are down in the Rugby Championship at the moment. And I'm not saying that, I've heard some really, really good stuff about the Championship and the level of rugby that's being played down in the Championship. However, is it enough to go into a Lions series? I don't think so. Sean O'Farrell, he will go Keenan for the Lions. Got to say, mate, I wouldn't disagree. I think he plays really, really well. I don't know if it'll be too early for him. I think given a couple of years, he will be back. He will be there, but it's going to be a tight one. I don't think he makes it with the current players available. Brandon's back, Rugby Geek, so I think it was definitely the former of your comments, not the latter. I'll just show you what he said, Brandon. There he goes on his toes for a wee, I suppose. I could be wrong. I must admit, he could be going for a, but you're back now, so we must be going for the former, not the latter. Sexton can't get through 20 minutes these days, I'll be honest, and it's linked to what, who was it? Who said it? It's linked to what Martin said, in the fact that he is man-marked out of the game. I think so much of what Ireland do and so much of what Leinster do revolves around him playing well. And I think if they take him out of the equation, I think I said this in the Brandon stream yesterday. For me, Leinster looked far more dangerous and far better with Byrne at 10 than they did with Sexton. I think they looked far better. Rodeo Video, it's good to see you in the chat. I didn't see you through the game, but lovely to see you in here. Thoughts on the Rainbow Cup possibly being cancelled? I think it's a big blow. I think if you listen to the rumours about the fact that the two fourth-place sides in the Pro 14 were going to miss out on European rugby due to the Rainbow Cup going ahead, you've got to say that it's a positive in that way. However, considering the revenue that it was going to bring to the Pro 14, obviously, it wouldn't have got much in terms of we're not going to get anything in ticket sales. But for me, I think it is a bad sign, considering as well that South African rugby is supposed to be having a far more heavy involvement in Europe. I think it is a bad sign. Johnny Sexton is getting on and he gets targeted in every game he plays. Again, Robert, couldn't agree with you more. What happened to Ford in Ireland? So, lol. Did he start against Wales? I think he did. I think Ford started against Wales. Yeah, he did because Slade and Farrell were in the centres. George Ford is world class, I agree. Probably off the bench. Can see Russell fitting in. Think he needs loads of time with the team so that they read his chaos. We talked about this in Brandon's stream earlier on when we said that if you look at the way that Racing play, it really suits Finn Russell's style of play because they read him so well. They literally turn around and they go, right, okay, he's going for it by here. We're going to follow him in. And like I said, so many times you see him try that little chip over the top. And whereas for Scotland, maybe he's got to call that move probably a phase or two phases ahead. But whereas with Racing Metro, as soon as that ball, Racing 92 even, not Racing Metro, as soon as that ball gets in his hands, the players around him are already starting to move. So I'm going to put this comment up again, Brandon, because I'd like to get your thoughts on this one. It was won by Freddie. Lions start at 10. Who do you pick?
I know a lot of people in the comments aren't going to be happy with me, but I'd go with Sexton. I think Sexton's actually been really good for Ireland recently. I think he's the best kicking 10 that we got. And I think against South Africa, we have to play the territorial game. We're not going to be running around them. We're not going to be dancing about them. Ches and Colby's going to be dancing around us. That's how it's going to be. We have got to get our territorial game right. Finn Russell, brilliant option off the bench, but too much of a risk to start. Bigger, for me, there's better options than Bigger. Owen Farrell doesn't go on the tour for me. George Ford goes, though, and I think that's it. I think that you have to go with Sexton just for his kicking ability and his leadership. Now, obviously, it's very, very physical, so that'll be a bit of a concern. But I think he's the best performing 10 at the minute. And I think Finn Russell has this ability to implode as well, doing really stupid things in games that are just so annoying and so unnecessary. So, yeah, I am simping for Johnny Sexton, yeah. For me, though, I'm happy to have a chat about it, but I don't think Bigger offers enough. Finn Russell's too much of a risk. George Ford is very close, but England have had a really bad year, so I think you have to go off form. And I think Sexton was one of Ireland's best performers with Henshaw and Tag Burn. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, buddy. So the draw is just starting now. They've handed across to Lawrence Delalio and Brian O'Driscoll in studio, who will be doing the draw. So obviously in the Heineken Champions Cup, we have Leinster, La Rochelle, Bordeaux, and after this afternoon's game, Toulouse. And in the Challenge Cup, which is going to be the one that I think they're doing first, we've got Bath, we've got we've got Bath, Ulster, help me out, Brandon. Bath, Leicester,
and
Montpellier.
Montpellier, yeah.
Yep, so first side into the draw is Bath. I think this is just a straight two-team draw. Leicester, the second side going into that draw.
And all teams can get each other, so it doesn't matter if in the league, all teams can get each other. I think in the Challenge Cup, you're looking to get Montpellier here.
Yeah, I think so.
Semis, you're pretty confident going through to the final.
So, from my understanding as well, I believe there is still home and away advantages. So these games are going to be played on the weekend of the 30th of April through to the 2nd of May. So the first side that drawn out are Leicester Tigers. So they get a home semi-final. Freddie will be pleased with that. So Leicester will get a home draw against Ulster. Oh,
That's what I thought the final would be. So that is huge. That's a huge game.
That is huge. So obviously Leicester and Ulster will be our first semi-final, and the second game then will be Bath at home against Montpellier.
They'll take that. Absolutely will take that. But you know what? Bath have not been brilliant over the course of the competition. I don't think so. So, I mean, Montpellier haven't been great either, but
there is your Challenge Cup draws just coming up on your screen now. So Leicester versus Ulster and Bath versus Montpellier. Looking at that now, I think the Leicester-Ulster game is going to be a superb tie. And I think that really will decide. For me, I think the winner comes out of that game. But I think Bath have got a really good chance here. And if they can start to pull some rugby together now, I think they've got a really, really good chance of picking up some silverware this year, which you've got to say Bath have been lacking in seasons gone by. Let's have a quick look at your comments before they do the Champions Cup draw. Would have been great to see the Saffers versus the Pro 14, but here the games with Derby, so don't really want to see Leinster Ulster again. True. Just subscribe. Are they announcing the times of the games as well? Not yet. Just the fact of when the games are going to take place. Brandon sympathising with Johnny Sexpest. Freddie Clark, you must be absolutely gutted, buddy. Whoever wins that, win the competition. Yep, definitely. What you wanted to be the final, Brandon Smith. Yep, Brandon, you were well up for that. So let's see what the Champions Cup draws are going to be. I'll just take that down for a second. I'll just take down your comment, Martin, so that we can see this. I think any games in this one is going to be an absolute belter. So, first team out is La Rochelle. So, La Rochelle get a home semi-final, and they will take on... La Rochelle will take on Leinster.
Do you know what? Leinster...
Which will then obviously... we'll see which one is the home side. We know who the other two sides are. It's going to be Bordeaux and Toulouse. And Toulouse get the home side, the home draw. So it's Toulouse versus Bordeaux.
I think if you're Toulouse, you're very happy. The team that got Bordeaux would have been the happiest, I think, in this situation. But Leinster away to La Rochelle is not an easy game at all. La Rochelle absolutely destroyed Sale Sharks and beat Gloucester comfortably. So it's not easy at all.
So there are your semi-final draws, guys. A little bit of extra for you here over on Rock and Roll Rugby today, though we do like to spoil you people. So we've just seen the semi-final draws. So looking at the Heineken Champions Cup, the first game that I don't know if this is how the games will be played in order. I'm not sure yet, but the first game will be La Rochelle at home to Leinster, followed by Toulouse against Bordeaux, and then in the Challenge Cup we have Leicester Tigers versus Ulster and Bath versus Montpellier. Some mouth-watering clashes in those semi-finals. So now that the draw has been done, Brandon, we know who's playing who. We know who's playing where. Give me a winner of the Heineken Champions Cup and of the Challenge Cup.
I'll go with the Challenge Cup first. I think the winner of Leicester Ulster will win it. I think Leicester are going to do it. I think have their issues. It depends how seriously Leicester take it. Obviously, he's still been involved in the Gallagher Prem. I'm going to back Leicester to win the Challenge Cup, and the Champions Cup, I think it's going to be Leinster.
Oh, interesting. Two Irish sides. Yeah.
One English, one Irish side to win it. So, I don't think the French sides will get their hands on the trophy.
I think I'm not sure with this one. I think personally, and I'm not just saying it because Freddie's in the chat, I think Ulster are going to do a job on Leicester. I know it's at Welford Road, but again, like we've seen, it's not a massive thing. I don't think they'll have the opportunity to bully Ulster up front like they did Newcastle in the quarterfinals. So, but with that being said, for me, I think Bath are going to win overall. I think if they can come through a home match against Montpellier, I think they'll definitely be set up to win the tournament, personally, from my point of view. So I'm going to go with Bath. And in the Champions Cup, I'm going to go French. I'm going to say Toulouse, because today against a Clermont side that were pumping them for a lot of that second half, trying to get back into that game. I think that you've got to say you've turned around from that, and you've got to say that Toulouse have got a really good chance of winning it. So just one quick look through your comments before we finish up, guys. Rugby Geeks, La Rochelle versus Leinster. Fetch me a sock. Martin's going for 2 Irish away wins, so an Ulster and a Leinster win. I can see it being done. I can see Ulster doing a Leicester. Ooh, could happen. We never know. And last comment of the day, Ulster went to Saints. They'll do Leicester, in my opinion.
The only reason I would back Leicester to win is because I would be worried up front that Ulster will get bullied. I think Ulster will get bullied up front. But if they can match Leicester physically, they got better backs and they got the ability to score tries. So if they can win the physical battle, they'll win the game. But I just don't think they've got enough to match Leicester physically either. So, but it'll be some great ties, 100%. There's some brilliant ties.
Yeah, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, guys, before we leave today now. Okay, if you're watching over on Facebook, make sure that you like the page and make sure you give it a follow. Lots of news coming up and lots of information on the channel that'll be posted there before we do it live on YouTube. And then head across to YouTube as well, where you'll find all my videos, live watch-alongs that we do. Going to do a little bit more things where we look a bit reacting to news, and especially as we come towards the tail end of the season now, we'll be looking at doing some reviews of leagues, teams, etc., etc. But that is all we've got time for today. We're going to jump off. We've been sat here since midday now, so myself and Brandon, we're going to jump off. So first of all, thank you so much for jumping on, Brandon. Really enjoyed having you on, buddy. It's been nice to chat considering how awful the rugby was at points today. But thanks for coming on, buddy.
No, always a pleasure. Always great fun. And guys, if you're watching, you're not yet subscribed to Ben, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button and like the stream as well. But always a pleasure to jump on, and looking forward to being on in the future as well, and to having you on the channel as well.
Oh, that's all right. I was just going to say, am I allowed back then, is it? But yeah, and likewise with Brandon, guys, if you haven't gone across to Brandon Smith Rugby, make sure you do so. Really, really good stuff. I've dropped the link in the chat earlier on, but make sure you do so, and I will do so again in the videos in the future, because we're going to work together closely on lots of different projects. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you stay tuned. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we will see you for the next one. Bye.